hidden, forgotten. This is Harbor Town.
Oh, man.
Talk about festivals.
Harbor Town is
I'm
an
sorry?
all-new series
Ready
from
to
Miniature
talk
Building
about-
Authority. The leader,
I've prepared as much as I can for a topic that I am really
Flexible and
devoid on
playable.
information on.
Harbor Town.
I think you would do great. Yep, you're better informed on this one than I am on the modules and stuff.
Yeah, it's not my area of expertise in the least. So we will see.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, David, that you can hear us, hear sound. That's good.
Yep. Hi, baby.
And voices, right? Always want to make sure that that's going out.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Because, there's always that one setting of, 8 different settings, and good. Awesome.
So how you doing, Mike?
I'm wiped out.
Uh-oh.
Had a
Work?
hard day at work.
Yeah.
It's hard when you miss lunch.
Probably because he's a little tired right now. He'll pep
That's
up.
my normal.
He'll
That's my
pep up.
normal.
He'll pep up. What's up, Jason?
Yeah, that's good.
No, Jason says it's Anna.
Oh, it's me?
Really?
I'm see if I can speak louder or something. So, yeah. Hi, Jason. See, I have to park my mic closer to my mouth. Might work. Yeah. Good.
Well, I don't know what you guys are doing, but I'm taping one of my Greyhawk books back together.
Oh, man, I hate that. When you got to do that kind of stuff, but that's part
Yeah.
of it's part of the deal,
I have like 4 or 5 copies of that now.
I only have one, and it's I wrapped it in plastic to begin with, like transparent plastic. I did that a lot of my old one stuff, and they kept up fairly good. But on the other hand, the last like 15 years, I've used digital versions of it, so yeah, so they've been sitting on the shelf most of them.
Phantom,
my next-
we BS a lot.
Oh yeah. Just getting started.
Before the show, after the show.
During the show.
Yeah, during the show.
My next to do probably is get a new copy of Eyes the Evil because the publisher
Yeah,
will grade on this one.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
They
do
come in-
Slavers. My Slavers was ripped.
yeah. Do they come in print and demand from Drive-Thru RPG, or is it only PDF?
You gotta get the old originals, though, don't you?
Oh yeah, but I was thinking if you just want one the
Yeah,
table,
for
then
reference, yeah.
yeah, then it's better to get one that is fresh rather than genuine. That's a collector's item. These days, you shouldn't wear it out at the gaming table. It's too valuable for that.
I've destroyed all my old ones. My eyes Eve and Mark Lancer beat to hell.
Yeah, I'm proud of my beat up books, though. That means they were used.
Yeah, the worst of all is From the Ashes. That is by far. That's by far the worst one of all of them.
Yeah. Actually, my Greyhawk from the box set from '83 actually made it through the vacation to Dubrovnik. So I've actually carried it in a backpack through Dubrovnik, and I was sitting reading it on some of the restaurants and the hotel and stuff in Dubrovnik. That was really, I thought it was appropriate to go to a fantasy place, and back then it wasn't even cool. That was a year or so before the war broke out.
Dang.
Yeah, so it was a couple of years before, like 3 years before or something. I think Milosevic had just died when, the last president of Yugoslavia. It gets to me in a while, but he ran the country for like years and years and years and years. He had just died when I was there. So it was
What's up, Rocks?
Yeah, but so my Greyhawk, that one traveled through some. So I remember reading it there, and it was fantastic. Yeah.
I used to take a Greyhawk, copy of the Greyhawk books and whatever I was currently working with to work with me every night in a backpack.
Yeah.
My vehicle got broke into, and that backpack was stolen.
Yeah.
Caught the guy.
Oh, and you got it back?
I didn't physically catch him. I caught him in the act when he tried to get away, and there's like every road leading out of my town is like goes for a mile, so there was nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. That's the Warriors. Good evening, everyone. Get started here in a second. This is the first Legends of Lore of the year.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's perfect. The new year.
Yep.
Natural time.
Yep, the crit year.
The Greyhawk box set. The box sets tend to stay in good shape because they tend to be more durable. Like if you're sitting Greyhawk box set, the books are great in that. But From the Ashes ones, they fell apart in a second. It's kind of like that Argentina first print, guys. It fell apart right away.
That one is terrible. Yes, that one is terrible. Yep. I got a second printing that I actually kept. The first one fell apart. I don't know what happened to it, but the second I still have here on the shelves.
Most of my AD&D hardbacks were in good condition, although my Unearthed Arcana was left out in the rain for whatever reason.
I don't hate everything to do with the war. I got a lot of the war stuff implemented, man. A lot. I do. Really do. Alright, 1 minute before. Okay, like that. I changed the music up a little bit. Ta-da. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jay Scott, aka Lord Gazumba, and I got Anna Meyer with me and Mike Bridges again for another episode of Legends and Lore, the first one of 2020 here.
Wow.
Isn't it amazing? It's like it's a new decade.
Yeah.
A new decade of Greyhawk gaming. So hopefully we will have some great topics. And this is the first one of the year on Legends and Lore. I think it's going to be really an interesting discussion. And I'm going to be bluntly honest. It's one that I do not know much about. So I'm going to be learning a lot during this discussion. Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to be, I got all my stuff printed out, but I've been reading, I'm going to be reading as we go. So I'm going to be learning as much as you. So Anna, this was kind of like more your idea to do this one. And so what were your thoughts on?
Well, it was simply, it was one of these kind of neglected topics of the setting. I remember Mike and me, we actually talked about this back in one of the earliest Legends and Lores. We kind of went over it, but I thought it might be time to do it again because we have a much wider audience now than the 12 people or 5 or something like that watched one of the earliest ones. And it's one of these hidden topics, and it depends on if you run your games mainly running the modules that are produced and published by TSR or Wizards of the Coast or something, then this might be an esoteric thing that is kind of feels like completely something that you don't need in your campaign. But if you run a little bit sandboxy or very sandboxy, then I think calendars is a great way to insert a lot of creativity in your games. Meaning you have certain days of the week. Meaning you have the God's Day when the temples are open and people don't work, and you're supposed to go and show up and make sacrifices and offerings and help out at the temple, whatever. And then you have the free day when everybody goes to the tavern and no one is working, and you can't buy anything. A lot of the tradespeople or whatever are closed, and so there's a lot of from the normal weekday, even that affects your game, so to speak. If you go to a big city during the God's Day, it might not be open much, and in free day all the taverns are probably booked full like crazy and stuff. And then you have things more like the festivals, like Mead Fest, Grove Fest, Rich Fest, when everybody gears up, and is probably yeah, and you can even get like special campaign things, meaning you have to go out and find really cool decorations, like the rare flowers that needs to be on the Baron's table for Rich Fest or whatever, and you have to guard all the food going in and out, and for low level characters and stuff. And then you have the festivities themselves, when there's all sorts of intrigue possibilities. You can mingle with the highs and the lows and stuff. So there's plenty of things, and the Greyhawk calendar is full of these kind of interesting things, either widespread, common everywhere, or just local for a certain place.
Yeah, I tried to put as many references below me as I could where I got everything from, because thank you, Jason Zavoda, for telling me where most of this was found.
Good.
You know, and which is definitely a good thing. So, are there download links for Greyhawk calendars? I don't think so, but I have. So, David, whatever you see book-wise scrolling beneath me has references for all this. So that's where I would. That's where. What's that, Mike?
Stuff. I said you can probably Google Greyhawk calendars and find stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
I made one that is. I could Google it and find it out there somewhere, because it's probably on my Dropbox link somewhere. So I made one that, and now I've refined it over the years.
Comprehensive one, that would be something.
Well, there's several of the comprehensive ones that are fed, and I have one that now that I've kind of tweaked, with added a lot of my own campaign stuff on top of it. Right. But it was kind of now I'm actually putting it together more, so that will be something that I will make public for everyone, first for my patrons and everyone. So so that will be added to the stuff. So
it's cool because it adds a lot of flavor, and I'm going to be bluntly honest. In 40 years of gaming, we rarely went there with festivals.
Yeah, I've used a lot of this, and also things like the state of the moon, meaning if is it a full moon, is it a new moon or a waxing moon, is it no moon? There are certain nights when there's moonless. That's also cool to have in the calendar. So if the characters are going to go out and sneak around in the vicinity somewhere, overland or whatever, is it a good night to do it? Is it a bad night, depending on if you hide or if you want to sit on a hill and see everything, so to speak?
See, I'm starting to feel I'm not as hardcore as Anna here, because
well, I run a lot of outdoor adventures. I probably run way more outdoors. I treat the outdoors like most GMs or DMs will treat the dungeon adventure, so to speak. It's a setting that the characters move around in, so to speak.
Well, I'm starting to realize that I don't even use the names of the days of the week.
No, we never did either.
I've used the months
all
the time, but you know, I couldn't ever say, and I've ran a lot of City of Greyhawk stuff, but I've never once told my players, sorry, that bar is closed because it's God's Day.
Yeah, well, I've done stuff like that when they desperately need something and they have to go and either break in or find the owner and pay extra for it and stuff like that. So,
Well, what's good about this calendar and weekday is it's repeated year by year, where the phases all are completely perfect.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
It's
a good thing.
Yeah, it's not like the real our calendar here on Earth. At least the normal what is the standard, like Western?
28 days, like 28 and a half days.
No, I was thinking in the real world, the Gregorian or I forgot which one it is. But anyway, the normal calendar we use, the Julian calendar, that varies. So the same weekday doesn't come on the same date. It changes from year to year. But in Greyhawk, you have a fixed calendar that is the same every year, which makes things a lot easier. You make a template. I made a template for each month, and each festival is only a week long, but in in terms, that's like a separate month because it's in between 2 months,
Yep.
all the big 4 festivals. So that makes the Greyhawk calendar a little bit interesting.
So shall we start on the calendar and then talk
Yeah.
about the days in the calendar,
Yeah,
then talk
we
about
can-
time?
Mhm.
We'll talk about time last, about when you
Yeah.
should place your campaign, because that's kind
Yeah.
of a
Sure.
subjective.
Yep.
So
So
like year.
go ahead, Mike. What was that?
No, you're talking about what year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that we have that. Yeah, that was thinking that's one obvious topic too. But
Yeah.
if we go, then we start, and I thought that the year starts during Needfest, but no, the Needfest is the end of the year, and I think the year starts on the month of Fireseek, and Star Day first of Fireseek is the New Year's Day, so to speak. That's the first day of the year, I think.
According to
Yeah.
this calendar, it's the first day of the year.
It's the very
Yeah.
first thing on the list.
Yeah,
Mhm.
according to this calendar.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Needfest
so-
is the season, right?
No, Needfest is
That's
the
the
that
festival.
week, the end of that
Festival.
ends the year, and you celebrate Needfest probably first to celebrate that you survived another year in a harsh world, and also to celebrate midwinter. It's the midwinter blood, so to speak. That
Okay, I thought that, but Needfest is a festival date,
Yes.
right? But it's also
Week
a
long.
week of the year.
okay. It's not a season then, like.
No,
No.
that's it's hard winter or midwinter or something. So yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, because all right, that's where I'm confused, because in common it says Needfest is the equivalent of midwinter on this
Well, yeah,
this
midwinter.
chart.
Yeah, exactly. It happens in midwinter.
It
Yes.
happens in midwinter.
Yeah, just like Richfest is in midsummer. So,
What does Needfest 4th mean then?
That's the 4th day of the week of Needfest. Each festival,
4 out of 7.
the 4 festivals are 1 week long,
Okay.
and so the
Okay.
4th of Needfest, that's the 4th day of Needfest, and Needfest is the last week of the year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
thing says Needfest
But
Star Day is.
That might be an interesting thing. They said that calendar showing Needfest Star Day as New Year. That's an interesting thing because but Needfest Star Day is the first of Fireseek, but there is a first of so that might be that Needfest is month 1, so to speak, or the first of that's interesting.
Yeah, because both. Yeah,
I've seen both now, so it's up to each DM, and it's kind of it's kind of in a way
It's It says, all right, it's the frigid 7-day period marks the transition from one calendar year to another, as usually accounted at the start of the new year. This is in Adventure Begins, page 40.
Okay, perfect. Then it's good. I'll change it.
So,
yep.
Well, here's the question.
All right, so this is I'm trying to mentally project how this is based on our year. So there's 4 weeks in each month of 7 days, 28 days. So everything's a February in this, except then there's the week of the festivals as well. I'm just trying to figure out how they did it.
Yeah. So the thing is, the year doesn't match the year on Earth doesn't match the normal year. I think it's a bit shorter or whatever.
Yeah. 28 times 12.
28 instead of 30 or 31.
Plus 20. Plus 28, 364. Yeah, it's the same.
Exactly. That's
okay.
It's
all right. I was just curious how they did it.
Long instead of 365 days.
All right, so they made it into. I'm just.
So it's
What?
You have
Greg,
the
thanks. I thought it was Greg. I thought it was your daughter's birthday. Thanks, man. All right, I was just curious because I got to learn this because interesting. It's neat.
So then we should start at Needfest then. So,
right, and yours starts at Needfest, which you did, and Anna compiled. So are these all yours, Anna, or are these from sources?
These are almost everything that is in the calendar I sent you are from various other sources.
Okay.
Yeah, a few of them I've kind of tweaked a little bit. I changed the names slightly for a few of them, and
thanks, Greg.
I might be, but most of it is from various other sources. So yeah.
So let's talk about the days in the week first. Get that over, and you have Star Day, which would be the first day of the week. Then Sunday.
Yep.
Then Moon
Which is
Day.
not like our Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
Then Moon Day, and then God's Day. So worship is Is
Right in the middle of the week.
right in the middle
That's
of the week.
the Sunday is in the middle of the week. Yeah. Mhm.
So our Sunday is in the middle is God's Day, and then Water Day, Earth Day. That's funny, and then
Yep.
Free Day, which would be the
Yep.
Saturday.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that's the day off. Yep.
TGIF.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
so.
TGIF. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's broken down, and also it links in with the phases of Luna and Selene, which are really cool.
Yep.
So that is something for any of you astronomy buffs
Mhm.
in the game.
Yep.
It's the same every year. So, for example, the phases of Luna only are both full once a year and both new once a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so 2 festivals have a full. Selene full is a Need Fest and Rich Fest, I think, Midsummer and Midwinter. That's when Selene is full, I think. And then on the other 2 festivals, the Selene are new. If I can
Very
check
interesting.
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, kudos whoever figured
Yep.
that out, because it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
No, Selene is full. I think all 4 festivals. Yep.
So Captain Eric says maybe you could look at the center of the 2 hottest months and the center of what would match the middle of our year, minus 1 day as Earth has 364. This has 364 as well, and I know. I guess it was for gaming purposes or where it is that summer is 6 months basically.
Yeah, I don't know how that.
Yeah, summer is longer. Yeah, but also the seasons are more profound
Short
on
autumn,
Earth.
short winter.
Yeah, because you have a 30-degree tilt instead of 27 degree, or there's the actual tilt on the planet is a bit more, which means that the seasons will be even more profound. The winters are more wintry and the summers are more summery. The difference between summer and winter is bigger on Earth than it is on Earth in real world. So that means that the polar regions are a bit bigger, and it's the temperate regions in between that will be narrower, so to speak. So
yeah, this is it's David, it's not easy to just jump in, but once you figure out this, like I said, I would go to either the 2 books that I'd recommend that have good tables to start off, is this one on page 39, and then this one, the Player's Guide on page 13, have really it's the same one on both. So it has that table right there.
Yeah, that one is repeated from the box set through from the Ashes, and then in Adventure Begins, and probably a couple of other products too, in various incarnations. They changed the layout of it slightly and some of the art, but it's basically the same. Yeah.
So any special things? I know, Anna. Let's talk about the days first. Any special things that either Mike, Anna, that you guys would do with the days in your game? And you said that sometimes you'll just.
No.
I've done stuff. First of all, God's Day. Most temples have so devotees and stuff. That's when most people show up and go to the temple. You do your offerings. A lot of people probably in my campaign in various towns and cities and stuff. They go and do service at the temple and help out and stuff. So that's because that kind of boosts your social standing and stuff like that. And that's also when a lot of temples offer things like healing and various other things. So in my campaign, so the God's Day is full of that. But it's also the day when evil cults and others are and temples that are more stringent, like in the Pale and stuff. You just show up, then you're in trouble, so to speak. It's a way for people of power to keep track of who's there, who's not there, and so on and so forth. So it's a gossip and intriguing building thing too, so to speak, to have it for God's Day.
We've never, because adventurers aren't working a regular schedule for the most part. Like, we never really worried about the days of the week. I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
You know, and we did a lot of Greyhawk adventuring, and but very rarely do we have someone working in like one of the guilds in the Laborers Guild or whatever, and it never came into play. But it probably should a little bit more, just even mention
But it depends on how you do it. Since I run a very sandboxing, meaning the majority of my adventure is to be part of the setting, and that's the rhythm of the setting. The winters, the roads close, and people get isolated due to snow or whatever, and that makes it hard. A lot of my campaigns, you basically overwinter somewhere. There is not much adventuring being done, so you basically sit there and hone your skills and and survive over winter, and then spring comes and fighting season starts, and you see you go out and run your dragons or whatever. But on the other hand, the winters, some monsters whatever might come out and hunt because it's much easier, because there's less pesky adventures out killing them, so you can have a lot of secondary effects that way, that the calendar and weather and stuff might have something to do with it. But free day is another. So you have the regular days, but the God's Day and the free day in my campaign stand out because free day is the day people have off. That's when you find a lot of ruffians out, and people go out and spend money on various things, meaning rogues go out and thieves to do pickpocket, and taverns are full of people and all that. So yeah,
Jason, it sounds like they would. And I have one specific one that I will discuss later on when we do them, that I actually used in the game. But yeah, I can see, especially in Greyhawk, the city of Greyhawk. We haven't gotten to that yet, Bill, but because Bill's working on something, Sashar scoring, and I don't. Let's see if we can, Jason or Anna or Mike answer that. The Old Faith, do they have any special holidays?
Yes, the 4 festivals every full moon is in my take on it is that they are kind of moon oriented, and also Selene. So the 4 festivals are very much, in my sense, old faith, meaning every time Selene has a full moon, that's when the druids have their special sermons and stuff. So some city folks might ignore it, but there's that kind of people that are maybe living in the city, but they still adhere to old faiths. Meaning that means that you run out in the forest somewhere where they have a druid grove, and lots of people are gathering at the druid grove to listen to the druid, and the druid you go around blessing various fields and all sorts of activities like that goes on. And
Casey says it's called Lamas Tide.
Yes, yeah. Okay. There's that comes in. There's various in the paper I sent you, the calendar. There's various the old faith celebrations included in there. So, and in Needfest, it's begins with mummering. People wear disguises and stuff. So
that's ripped off from Philly, the Mummers Parade.
Yes, yeah. So that someone there's a whole bunch of these occasions in Greyhawk that are
Old Faith. Here it is, Old Faith Festival of Lamas, a festival to mark the annual wheat harvest and its first harvest festival of the year.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's a whole bunch of them. So
Patchwall 14. Yep. Patchwall 14. I'm getting it down finally. So Patchwall, the month of Patchwall, the 14th day. Figuring it out. So
that is in the fall, and also the various months have not the festivals, but the other normal months, they have an Elven name. So if you take the first month of the year, Fireseek has the Elven name of Diamond Dice. That is also listed in the various books where the calendars.
I think I put that up here.
Yeah, and there's also a nomad name. They have a bit like Chinese in our world. They have various animals associated with different months. So Fireseek is the for the nomads. I'm not really sure, but it's the month of the tiger, which to me is kind of cool because you have the tiger nomads. So it's kind of So I guess it's the tiger nomads and the wolf nomads and others. They probably celebrate.
Yes, it implies there's a frog nomads or a turtle nomad.
Exactly. No, but it might be that those two nomads have the different animals they kind of pray to or something. But it's kind of funny because they're
what I want to know is are the festivals known as Needfest, Growfest, Brewfest, calendar-wide, Common, Elven, Nomad, do they also have the fests?
Yeah, the way I've interpreted is that elves started it, so to speak, because the festivals are tied to Selene. So the elves started it, and then the Flans, who were the first kind of people in the Flanese, they kind of were cooperating. So they took it up from the elves and kept it, and that's why the old faith are also tied to it. And then all the other one came in the Origians and the Suluas, and then the Bakluni were there too. And the Bakluni, I never adventured up there much or at all. So they are kind of a sideline so far for me. Yeah, but to me, it's been like they picked it up. All the other people that came in, the old faith became part of the new faith. So the new faiths kind of celebrated these festivals too, and it's a bit like Christmas. It's now celebrated all over the planet, and almost everybody celebrates Christmas in one shape or form, whether you're a Buddhist or whatever. Almost all over the world, it's secular people, whatever. So I've taken it as becoming like Flanny's common festivals period that become festival for everybody. But the druids are out there and doing it. So that's me trying to interpret the campaign, not that I've read that is published that way. But
a little off topic, but am I the only one who was really bothered back in my youth how Forgotten Realms had 10-day months?
Oh, okay. I haven't studied. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Their weeks are 10 days long.
Oh, okay. The weeks are 10 days. Yeah.
10-day weeks. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So they crammed in a lot more work days, or do they have more holiday weekends?
They just had 3 weeks a month instead of 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't find that. Ready Read 5 turning the Shepherd Stone is based on real world stuff too. So
well, yeah, there's plenty. So yeah,
I'm just illustrating that you're doing a fantasy calendar, and I think Gygax went with something that was as close to an Earth calendar as he could get.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he also the 4 festivals is back to pagan Europe, meaning the Norths, the Vikings and others. They had the 4 festivals, and it's still around in even in modern day Scandinavia, in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and I'm not sure about Finland, but the old Viking countries, they still celebrate midsummer. It's one of the biggest traditions of the year. It's almost as big as Christmas. It's like at midsummers you do a bunch of things, and that's an old pagan holiday that is celebration that is still there. And then you had the midwinter blood that was there, and I might not be in coincidence that it's Christmas is celebrated when midwinter blood used to be, because that used to be the biggest kind of festival in old pagan Europe. So there's still a remnant of it even in modern times in the real world too.
So is that Midwinter Blood the same as Midwinter Night, or is that different?
There's a different one. Let's if we go to the first month of Fireseek is devoid of almost almost everything. But if we go to month 2, there is a bunch of interesting things. So I have on the star day 1 of readying, that is the second full months of the year, you have the Festival of Bane. And yes, and I wonder exactly, because to me is that and like Bane, I wonder.
Bane's
and
Forgotten Realms deity, isn't it?
Exactly, that's the interesting thing. Someone put it in one of them, but the way I have it is not that it's a celebration of Bane, a god. It's simply a day where you can turning undead receives a +1 bonus.
So Saint Bane is a saint from the Saint article.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right. He was. Yeah, okay. So thank you. That's from the original Saint article where Kargoth came from, and Saint Elidor. Saint Elidor was another saint in that one. If I recall.
Right.
Yeah, that goes back into the 80s. Actually, that article.
See, there's
there you go. So there's a connection.
Yep.
And you're saying that's in Ready Read?
No, it's in readying the second. The second big month, so to speak.
Okay, these are all out of order then. Readying. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, readying.
Okay,
and then
readying.
and on readying the 10th, there is the Snowdrop Festival.
Ooh.
Yep, and masks are worn to sort of all-day party and dusk clothing exchange. Blah blah blah. It's one of these kind of people get dressed fun. Yeah, and people dress up funny and go around to big merriment. That seems to be a very common thing.
Like the Festival of the Fool is like that, isn't
it? Yeah,
it?
exactly. It's like there's a whole bunch of festivals that are very simple. You dress up funny or strange or something weird, and then you merriment on the city or out in town, so to speak. So that seems to be one of these. And then you have Hearts Day on Free Day the 14th of readying, and that's the Mirison whatever. Yes. So yeah.
Oh gosh.
Gifts to loved ones.
See, I think
That's
clever.
it's
that day they
Valentine's
were
Day.
gonna get it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the Valentine's Day of in
Oh
Greyhawk.
my gosh.
That's what it is.
You
Yeah.
could go to the Bridge of Entwined Hearts in
Mhm.
the city of
Yep.
Greyhawk.
Yep.
I
mhm.
had an assassination that happened on that bridge once, so it's not very.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. So
Boy.
yeah. So readying the 14th is Valentine's Day. in Greyhawk. Yep. So that's basically it. Then we have the month of Cold Even, and now we're into spring, and it's
Cold Even.
Elven cold snowflowers, and the nomads they praise the animal of lion is the and it's interesting. Do they have lions up there too? Uh-huh.
Hmm.
And then there's on the 11th there's the Festival of the Blood Moon, and that is something that they actually called the it's usually called, I think originally it was called the Night of Valpurgis, but to me that was too much. Yeah, it was too much of the real world, so to speak. So I changed it into the Blood Moon, or maybe it's called Blood Moon. Someone did it, or I'm not sure if I did it or someone else did it, but that's what I call it in my campaign.
So it says here that now it's honored in Iuz's land since the wars, and it's actually mocking your favorite place, the Horn Society, which and it probably won't have that happen.
Your Blood Moon Massacre.
Oh, it happened in my game. Yeah.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it did happen in my game, but that's why. So I have to struggle to kind of get them back again. So,
okay.
But, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that, and I think the reason for that is that it's no Luna is full. So yeah. So it's I guess traditionally a red moon then. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and then you have the last week of Cold Even is the Trapper's Rendezvous. And then that means that
Trapper's Rendezvous,
so it makes sense that they're all meeting up and telling stories.
Yeah, I guess the hunting season. The hunting season starts after winter. So when in spring they go out and exchange stories and get their equipment ready and whatnot.
We've done that with our rangers and with our scouts and with all that, and I haven't realized that we actually were doing a festival type thing.
Yeah.
It just makes sense that someone would set that. Were most of these set in the game in Greyhawk 2nd E to 3E? Is that when they were set, or they've been set all recently, or are these all?
They've been, most of these are old. They've been around since the 80s, I think.
Okay,
so most of them.
Second edition come out, and then
probably
Living
first
Greyhawk
edition
expanded on it. Correct?
Exactly. Living Greyhawk added probably a few of these, but almost all of it is old been there from early days. Yeah.
Okay. So this is, I just was curious as to.
So that's Cold Even, and now we come to the next festival in spring, and that's Brewfest. So that's another week and then you have something that is called Benapsis or whatever, however you pronounce that. I have no clue, and it sounds to me like something that comes from the real world. I'm not sure, but it's known as Lucia among certain Bakluni sects, and that's the New Year's in the Bakluni lands.
Oh.
Yep,
Okay.
and that is on the 1st of Brewfest. So that's when they start their year. So just like in the real world, with China and the Muslim world have different years from different calendars, and the Orthodox calendar, the Gregorian, is different from the normal. And then at the end of Brewfest is Fool's Day.
Fool's Day.
Yep, and that's sacred to Uli Damara. Yep.
The trickster.
Yep.
So I have down here some others like Brewfest for St. Cuthbert's Day.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay,
that's the God's Day. Okay.
All right, and that festival occurs wherever a sufficient number of followers of St. Cuthbert dwell. Feast of Adora, which is Brewfest 4 as well. It says the religious and secular holiday commemorates Adora, a religious figure of ancient times.
How do you spell that? Edora or
it's in the Adventure Begins, page 43. It says Edoira. Okay. Jason probably will pop that up.
Okay, perfect.
And then there's another. There's more of them. There's the Spring Feast, the most holy day of the Church of Atroa, the goddess of spring.
Yeah.
The day of rest, prayer, and they're all on the same day. And then Raxavort's Orgy, Brewfest 4.
Orgy.
The holy day celebrated by Raxavort's followers, and that's the Svart deity, by the way.
Okay, cool.
I'm sure they orgy a lot
Yeah.
more than once a year.
A week-long mating season of the Svarts.
Oh,
It says celebration consists of debauchery, feasting,
Yeah.
drinking, and of course mating.
No, see, and that can make for awesome, interesting adventures and stuff. So yeah,
That's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some other
yeah.
things. There's a lot going on that month.
Yeah.
Is this starting to get rated R?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One more, Brewfest 7, Disportum of Magic. It's an
Yes.
annual festival held in the city of Greyhawk. The highlights of the celebration include spectacular magical displays performed by teams of wizards, illusionists mainly. This can be found in Folks, Feuds, and Factions in the Free City of Greyhawk box set. Ah!
Yeah, that one's in there.
I didn't get to that, but that's in my calendar too here. Yep.
I can't say I ever used the Disportum of Magic, but when I think of it, I think of the Lord of the Rings movies with the illusion.
Yeah, we're gonna try it. We're Thunder. I'm trying to get them all in here. Like definitely with the Raxavort one, the Zvart. We're trying. I'm sorry to interrupt, Mike.
I did a campaign with Disportum. I took the Disportum of Magic, and I took it as something that was originally.
We're gonna bounce all around.
From the Great Kingdom. So they celebrated that. Now when the Great Kingdom is gone, but in Reldevin, they also celebrated. So I had my Reldevin campaign. I read the calendar. So then there was a big festivity with wizards and illusionists creating, it was like a Phantom of the Opera kind of adventure, because there was like illusions and there were real things, and some of it was so scary that you had to make a saving throw. You basically got so spooked that you ran for the hills, and so it's part of scaring the living bejesus out of the audience, and so it was kind of interesting, and some of the characters were so scared that they ran and hid somewhere, and it was kind of you got XP just to be able to see the whole show, so to speak.
Did we? I guess we did we. We should go back because we're doing it in order.
Okay, I go through the year here. So
the biggest one that we missed, like details on the Feast of Fools. I know it's huge, right?
Oh yeah, Feast of Fools
in the city of Greyhawk, and I read about it, and they said that that everyone has to participate in it, basically, which I found bizarre.
Yeah, but remember, that was how it was worked back in the day. If you didn't show up at church or these things, you were suspicious, and you could be a witch and all sorts of stuff. So yeah.
And also, it said that everyone, that's the same time that the mayor and the oligarchy meets with leaders from other cities at the same time, which
ambassadors and stuff.
That's
kind of ironic, I guess.
Yep. So, no, but I guess that's when there's a lot of diplomat. There are probably gifts from other countries and all sorts of stuff going on. So yeah, which also an interesting thing for adventures and stuff. You can put in if you want to have the debauched party adventure kind of thing. Then that one might be a perfect day to put it in.
Here's here's another one. Back on the Need Fest is Hardby. It says Elmshire holds the whole week of Need Fest as a public holiday, and then Hardby marks the occasion with music, cheer, bright magical lights, and excessive consumption of spirited drinks. I can throw that right in with Michael Baton, and everyone will be ecstatic. So okay, well that's cool.
Yeah. So
now one more. Because if everyone knows, I'm gonna try and implement some of this. We are going to start a new first, but sometime in the end of 2020, and started in Norwell. And supposedly Norwell has a lot of, it says much singing, dancing, and drinking during Need Fest, but without the glitter seen elsewhere. And I know I had one more reference to Norwell in these notes. I wonder if it's the same one. Yeah. But I know. See, I got stuff everywhere. This is what happens when you. I don't have the. That's later on. Okay. All right. Cool. So, all right, no, I think we're caught up now.
Okay, yep.
Norwell's a smaller town, so they got a less robust festival.
Yep.
Which is good that I like that these details of these articles. And what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to take this, I'm going to not throw this stuff out or not put it in a pile. I'm going to hole punch this and put it in my binders downstairs. So I have now my calendar reference Bible. So if you guys want the pages, want to know what the pages are I will share them with these. So what's that? What's that, Mike?
I'm saying you're going to have a Bible of.
It's going to be thick, especially with all the Anna stuff. So it's cool.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I have some off-script stuff for my own campaign.
Let's
that I
hear
can
it.
do.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's
Well, I
hear
was
it.
going to save it till later, but if you want to hear
Yeah.
that,
Is it during this time, or is it later on in the?
this is all over the place. I
Okay,
don't
we
know
can-
the exact
if-
dates on
Why don't
these
you
right
throw in
Yeah.
one now, and you say you got a bunch of them? We'll throw
I
them
have
in
a few.
occasionally because
Yeah.
people want to
Or
hear.
should we-
Yeah, throw one
Or
in.
should we-
Absolutely, that'd be cool.
I have one that's probably not on your list because this came out in. I didn't create this one. This is Paizo Hawk. This came out in
Okay.
the Age of Worms campaign.
Okay.
For those who are following along, Dungeon 128,
Cool.
the adventure, the Champion's Belt. So, without getting into too much detail, there was a festival in this adventure in the Free City, in quotes, which was supposed to be the city of Greyhawk, but for whatever reason they sanitized it to the Free City.
Okay.
Anyhow, the Champions Games is a 5-day festival in the Free City where they have gladiatorial competition in the Free City arena. Okay. The adventure in that Dungeon magazine uses the maps that we're all familiar with, to the T, but they went into more detail with maps of like the stuff below the arena. It's a really cool adventure. Just check it out, even if you don't want to use the festival. I ran this for my friends back when that adventure first came out, and it's like I said, it's a 5-day gladiator tournament, and you get all these. You enter a team like 2 to 8 characters, and you go up against other NPC groups or monsters or whatever, and ultimately you're vying for the champion's belt, which is I always imagine is like a wrestling championship belt.
Yeah.
And there's money to be won and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And, but when you win the champion's belt, then you are the champion for a year until the next year. It's an annual gladiator tournament.
Cool.
I think that in the Ruins of Greyhawk, which is up now, there's an ex-champion. He's like 12th to 14th level. He's like neutral evil, and he's stuck down in Zagig's. He's like working with Igwil's clone or whatever she is at the time, and he's a champion from that Age of Worms because that came out after Age of Worms, correct? So I think that book came out after Age of Worms. They took a lot of because they were both made by like the Paizo people, weren't they?
Savage Tide was after Age of Worms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is Return to the Expedition Ruins. Return.
Oh yeah.
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 Okay. And
That
all
was
right.
after
Cool.
too.
All right. That's good. So that sounds like something I would be interested in running. Just
It's
to
so
gladiator
fun
tournament
because you
separate.
can customize it.
Okay.
They have the whole setup for that adventure, but it's an annual thing,
Mhm.
so you can pretty much customize it, and there's no set date of the year for it.
You can put it when it's suitable.
Yeah.
and
That's
keep
awesome.
it there.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Dungeon
there's a whole-
128. Correct.
Right.
Okay.
128.
I will look that up. Because everyone is asking me to do one of my festivals. We have one of our own. I'll discuss it later. That we have a joust during it.
Yep.
So everyone wants to see a joust tournament this year.
I
Yeah.
have
Celebrate the
that
40.
later coming in my calendar. So yeah,
Awesome.
I have that. So then we have planting after
Okay.
Brewfest. It's
Nice.
planting, and then into low summer, and it's the Elven month of blossoms. And the nomads have the frogs. This is the month of the frogs. So we have the frog nomads. Yeah, but I only have one, and that's on the God's Day, the 11th of planting. That's
See.
called Tunbat. It's Oldemara festival again. He loves his festivals, and it's the Seven Sisters festival. It's a day when there's some of
We're all looking at each other like Forgotten Realms.
yes, yep. So there's someone who came up with the idea. It's something that ties into Oldemara's legends and blah blah. So you probably go out party and do all sorts of stuff. So
Auric, see, all right, Christoph, I knew it. Thank you, Christoph. Christoph's on. Say hello. Yay. Yeah, it's
Hi.
Auric the champion. I knew there was a connection there. Good to see you,
Okay.
man.
Yep.
Well, hey, it's okay. I'm glad you're on, Christoph. I know Anna and Mike are glad you're on for input. And I was gonna say, if you're really bored, you want to hop on, you can. So don't tell anyone. You know that you have the number. So if you want to come on, you can. So there you go. I offered because let's all. Anna, will you please make a quick announcement about Len? Just maybe say something that Leonard is not doing is.
Oh yeah, he's not doing well.
He's not
He's in the
doing well right
hospital.
now.
So
Yeah.
we I don't know how serious it is, but
Yeah.
he is in the hospital and they are checking up on things. And the last I've heard is that they found some of the reasons, so he had hope of coming back home again soon. So
Let's
that's
hope so. Because
yeah.
Len was actually gonna about a week and a half ago was gonna hop on this show. He said, "I'll hop on for a little bit," but he
Yep.
won't. Obviously, will not be
Mhm.
now.
Yep.
But let's all wish him the best. So
Yep. Yep.
Get well in.
yeah, definitely.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Mhm.
So you have that. I have one in planting. Planting
Okay,
10.
yep.
This let me give credit here. This is all from Christoph's real good friend with the Constellations, Andy Miller's campaign holidays from
Ooh,
Dragon
nice.
Annual 4. Okay, so
Oh,
that's where I'm getting this information, guys. It's Rudd's birthday, planting 10. It celebrates the birthday of the demigoddess Rudd, who was reportedly born.
Rudd.
What's that?
Oh, go on. I said I like Rudd.
Oh, cool. Holidays mainly celebrated in Bissell, where Rudd was presumably born, and considers as many parties and feats, and then full of games of chance and skill. So that sounds pretty. That's a neat one.
that's great. Yep.
Yeah.
So that is planting. Then comes the next month, and that's flock time. Now we're still in the low summer, and the elves call it violets, and the nomads are in the month of
Wish I put these in
turtles.
order.
Yeah,
Turtle.
and then and there's a lot of things going on here, and the first one is on the very first of flock time. Star day is Beerus Day. So that's sacred to Beer. Villagers sing and dance around wooden pole. It's kind of midsummer theme in a way, but it's not a midsummer. So villagers sing and dance around wooden poles to celebrate the passing of the seasons and the blessings of spring.
Now we've all had people dance around maypoles. Let's all admit that.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And in Sweden, Swedes go crazy in midsummer, dancing around a maypole in midsummer, not in May, which weird, but yeah.
Why? Okay, so I got to go back. Casey, why is it called the Seven Sisters Festival? Does anyone know? That drove me a little crazy because that Seven Sisters is a direct reference to Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, so that's sneaking in. So we have to rename that one. That's terrible. So
I mean,
we have to we have to rename that one.
If
So,
there's a reason for it in the game, you know, I like
to. Sola Damara really gets around.
Yeah. Next up is Harnica. Oh my, Harnikia. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh
and
boy.
This one we can blame Casey for because it's an adventure he wrote, which is really cool. So yeah.
Oh, I saw that.
Yep.
Harnikia, Dwarven Ritual of Harnikia.
Yep.
Cleansing of the mountains. This is cool. Ritual humanoid hunts conducted. Neat.
Yep.
Some humans, mountaineer rangers in particular. So the mountaineer militia you're talking about, Casey? Is that what you'll be discussing in this? Also celebrate Ula's hunt, which is neat. We actually have Mark's gnome priestess worshipped Ula, especially priestess of that. So so during the Festival of Harnikia, you have different sub-festivals. Cool.
Yep. And then we have something that I wrote down as on flock time, the 15th, St. Cuthbert's Day. So that's interesting. I don't know where that came from.
Okay, I think I saw that in here. Hold on one sec.
Yeah.
St. Cuthbert. No, I have it at St. Cuthbert's Day is Brewfest 4. So the festival.
But the interesting thing is that they have
3 chapters.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. But the reason that someone put it in here is that it's 2 days ahead of the Day of Dread, when the that's the Dark Night, or when there's a lot of fiends out and various evil things get pluses on their various roles and whatnot, so to speak. So it's said that 2 days before that night, the clerics of St. Cuthbert go out and try and root out and banish and kill as many of these nasties around as possible. That's how I run in my campaign. I didn't invent it, someone else did, and I put it in, but I'm not sure where the hell it came from to begin with, so to speak. So on the 17th, I have the Night of Dread, and it's a dark night because there is no moon that night. So that's a night without no moon. On the Luna is new again on God's Day, the 18th. So it's one of that nights when there's no moons whatsoever. So that's why the day should be the Night of Dread, not the Day of Dread. But yeah. But I guess they dread because they're waiting for the darkest night of the year in the fact that there is no moon. But on the other hand, it's in low summer, so up north it's probably not that dark.
It says all turning rolls against undead are made at -4.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep. So it's,
and all
it's
evil
nasty.
priests cast spells if they're one level higher.
Yep.
Most other wow. Okay. That is pretty nasty.
Yep, so it's nasty. And this is kind of interesting because that means that you have to schedule your adventuring, whether you're one way or the other, so to speak, around stuff like that. So it can be, or you make sure you don't travel through nasty countryside when that happens and stuff.
That does bring up an interesting point. If holidays or certain days of the week or the moons had game effects more often, I think we'd be more prone to adhere to them in our games.
Like in Dragonlance, I hate to say it.
You have vampires, you have lycanthropes, like werewolves and others that, so you have a lot of different creatures and stuff that affects it. You can have different types of magic are stronger certain days and certain nights and so on and so forth. So.
Dragonlance, you have white and red wizards based on the moons, correct? I'm almost positive that's what it's about. And they get more power as the moon. Yeah. I hate to bring that up, but
you can build a lot of stuff. Yep. Okay.
It's a cool. It shows that there's depth. I mean, there's depth that I've never even scratched the surface of. Now, and I imagine for a lot of other DMs are like, wow, I could implement this stuff just in a dimension, or just throw in, like in city campaigning, make the days of the week much more important now. I mean, it's just something I never even thought about because we weren't tied. That's not where our main thought process was, which is great. It's good thinking outside, and this detail is here that people like Casey and others and the Andy Miller have developed, and it's great to see see it, so.
And now we have after Flockdown comes the month of Wheel Sun, and this is the month heading up to Richfest, to Midsummer, and it starts out with a 4-day festival of the Blinding Light.
Oh boy, I wonder who that is.
And that's with the Pale and others. They're dedicated to poultice. So especially in the Pale, it's the biggest festival of the year when they celebrate things, and probably when they put heretics on the fire and all that.
You just gave me a fantastic idea, Anna. Do you know where I'm going with this? Because remember, I have all the Fultians basically starting to go into the Shieldlands and take those towns over.
Okay.
And I'm doing the Trial of the Legion coming up, which is in the Shieldlands, and there's going to be a lot of fighting going on those. I'm going to make one of them during the Festival of the Blinding Light. There we go.
Awesome. Yep.
So, if they're going to be out partying the Fultis, and then all hell will break loose. So, thank you so very much for that follow. Really appreciate it.
And on the first, there is also the Godrish, or whatever I don't have no clue how to pronounce it, and it's the festival dedicated to the arrival of Mayaheen on Earth. So the saint.
That is a huge one as well. I mean, we're big. We say Mayaheen, but because we're barbarians when it comes to we're wrong.
No, but I'm the barbarian.
No, I think you're closer than I am on this one. There's just because there's, you know what? How come there's not a single picture of Mayheen anywhere? Not one of the deity.
True.
There's not a single picture. That's the one deity. There's no pictures.
Yep. That's interesting. Yep.
Think about it. So,
but Mayheen, her day,
what day is that?
Star Day 1, the Wheel Sun 1, the first day of Wheel Sun.
That's the same time as the Festival of the Blinding Light.
Exactly. So the first day of the Blinding Light, that's the same day as the Mayahanians will celebrate her arrival so to speak, or
Phantom, are you going to any conventions? Because
yeah.
you have multiple chances to play Greyhawk games at the conventions. Carlos and I are both doing Greyhawk at GaryCon, and Carlos is at a lot more conventions than I am. But it's a good opportunity just to get some
Can
Greyhawk
impress
games.
Yeah,
Carlos with
definitely.
all our
Yep.
calendar knowledge.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I talked to him and he wasn't available, but he needs to talk to me about this. He got the same invitation I did for
Oh,
GaryCon,
okay.
so I'll
Cool.
talk about that at the end of the show. So,
Mhm. Yep.
which is pretty neat. That is all. Those are two great
Mhm.
festivals.
Yep. That's the only thing I have in my calendar for
Let me
Wheelson.
take a look
And
here real quick.
yep,
So
see if you have
Richfest is
anything
next,
else.
correct?
Yes, exactly. It's a month
I
before
have.
Richfest.
I don't see anything in Wheel Sun at all.
Yeah.
No, I don't see anything in this Wheel Sun. So.
Yep. And then we have Richfest, Midsummer.
Midsummer.
Yeah.
Bombing
And then
the
you have the
Thorn.
Festival of the Blue Moon, and that's the celebration of the full Selene. So it's the highlight of the Elven year, and there's in my campaign you have several areas in Elven lands that are opening up to Arvandor and other Elven realms. There are gates opening, and all sorts of fey things happen, and don't go out there because you might be a sprite or some fake creature might lure you off somewhere and you'll never be the same again, and all sorts of stuff like that can happen during the Festival of the Blue Moon. So it's very, if you're Elven in Elven lands and stuff, it's fantastic. If you're not, then it can be scary, those festivals that way. And then you have the God's Day, like Richfest 4. That's the peak of the week, so to speak, when midsummer is, when both moons are full. And after that, on Water Day, it's the Sea Lord's Feast.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that's celebrated in many coastal areas. And it's also the Feast of Sotilion that day, too. So, yep. So I guess,
It's amazing how many. I guess the 4 is the God's Day of the week, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you have the Holy Day of Pelor as well. It's called Giving Day on that day.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
have Enlightening Tide,
Mm-hmm.
which is Theocracy
Okay.
of the Pale again.
Go
Uh-huh.
poor
Oh, yeah.
celebrating all these holidays.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Brilliant
Yep.
Celebration, which is Lydia.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Midsummer Night is also holy for Beerus, Obadiah, and other Greyhawk gods. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Richfest 5 and 6, you have Guild Days.
Okay.
More detail. All right. So these are 2 days following Midsummer are set aside by various artisans in the city of Greyhawk as Guild Days.
Ah.
So that's pretty neat.
Yep.
And that says that's right in the Folks, Feuds, and Factions book of Free City Greyhawk box set.
Mm-hmm.
So another one. Sea Lord's Feast celebrating coastal areas. Festival of the Blue Moon at midweek. When Selene is in full.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, no, that's awesome, Casey. I want it because I just want to compile all of this into one binder because it's
Yeah.
important that I have it.
I
Well,
have
for
a
me,
Rich Fest.
go for it.
Okay. In Ulm,
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
during Rich Fest, they have the Najam Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Najam.
Is it an
Okay.
anagram?
No.
Okay.
So the Najam Festival is the usual catch-all Rich Fest festival, for a seasonal thing. But what's unique in Ulm is the Najam Trials, which is an annual horse race,
Ah.
endurance horse race, where they go across the plains and to the Ulspru Mountains and then kind of loop it back to the capital, Ulican.
Yep.
And the winner then gets crowned with the title of Master of Horses or something like that.
Wow. Yep.
Is it like that Hugo Mortensen whatever movie with his horse kind of?
That is a good inspiration for it right there. Yes.
Thank you. What was the name of that movie?
I
Don't.
cannot remember. It
That's right, because I remember it was like miles upon miles. A dog. Will of course knows.
Endurance race, right?
Not,
It wasn't the name of the horse.
yes, that was the name of the horse and the movie. Yeah,
Hidalgo.
Najam and all. Nice.
Attaboy. So if you're running from this for your campaign, you can also think of it as maybe throwing a little Star Wars Phantom Menace, like with the pod races, where they're going out in the desert and creatures are trying to, they know it's the festival too.
Yeah, so
they're ready to ambush
things that you can
the
eat.
riders.
You
can make a whole, day's adventure into this.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds awesome fun. Yeah. Okay, so that was.
That's one I created for my old campaign, which is probably in one of the Orth journals.
Yeah.
Did any of your players ever win?
No, never ran it.
Oh, okay.
90% of my old stuff is written for, the internet, and I've never ran it.
Wow.
Oh, but it's so much fun. So yeah.
They don't want to run it. It sounds so rich.
I can't explain it. Most of my gameplay has been in the city of Greyhawk and the Hold of the Sea Princes, in various places, but not so much all.
Okay.
I've always discouraged them from going to all for good reasons.
Yeah,
because of the way they play, or is it
the only times I've had my players in all, they were slaves.
Oh.
They were serving in the gladiator pits, or they were doing missions for Abi Dalzim, against their will, under Gias. They hate it. They hate going there. So,
and Abi Dalzim out of all is canon, correct? Or published source?
That's Mike Cannon.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still think it's brilliant because that is like, I can remember the Tome of Magic, and that spell came out, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yes, yeah.
Is he a necromancer in your game, or is he a wizard?
He is a necromancer / elementalist.
Okay, because it's both. It's water elemental and necromancy. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty nasty combination. Awesome.
Right.
Beautiful. Okay, Anna, where we keep on rocking and rolling here.
Yeah, after Richfest comes reaping, and now we're still in high summer, and the elves call it gold fields. And now we're in the month of the snake up in Nomad Lands, and I don't have anything more than on the 25th, God's Day, the 25th. It's Sotilian's Day again. But it's
reaping,
also the day, Labor Day, for some reason. I don't know, for Saint Idlers.
Reaping's pretty empty here. I wonder if Casey's got stuff that he can throw off here, because I don't see anything in this article either.
Yeah, it's kind of an empty month. But on the other hand, Richfest Midsummer's is so much so after that, they probably had enough of.
I can throw out another custom holiday to fill that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, Christoph and Casey and Anna, to create one master.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we should have one. Maybe add all the stuff.
And then put it in the Earth Journal at some point, and then have it on Greyhawk Online. I mean, it's just perfect. Because I mean, look at this. I have my entire table just filled with papers everywhere, and I'm like, but that's okay. I mean, hey, so you do have something for reaping. Okay, you have Luna's new moon. Let me see. It's Sotilian. Yeah, that's what we have here too. It's only one we have. Okay, so we have the same one, Sotilian's Day. All right, well,
let's go into good month, and now we're still in high summers, and the elves call it sunflowers, and it's the month of the boar. And then that's an interesting month in my campaign, because it starts out on the first day of good month. You had a month to survive and recover after midsummers, that starts with the tournaments of Littleberg in Ferjundi, leading up to the King's Festival at the end of the week. So in Littleberg, it's a whole day of festivals in Littleberg that are actually the biggest ones of the year. So it starts out on Star Day first with the arrival of the knights and for the tournaments of Littleberg. So outside Littleberg, and Littleberg in my campaign, and I think this is canon because I tried to find that it doesn't have any walls or anything like that. So it's open up, and they have a huge arena field outside where they have a tournament, and they arrange the King's Festival. So it starts out with the commoners and the low knights and the ones that want to qualify at the end of the tournament. They come on Star Day the first and start battling it out on the battlefield so they can survive for the real tournament that starts on God's Day 4th. That's when the big nobles and the real knights that are already knighted. So the challengers arrive on day one, and that's something we've done in my campaign, where you actually show up and you have to. They have all sorts of things from jousting tournaments, archery, and stuff like that. So it's like a little bit of an Olympic, and they have to shoot. And if you're really good enough, then you can start challenging the real ones, so to speak.
So is the Grand Moat in Ferjundi as well, or is it somewhere else? The Grand Moat Festival. Because I know there's
Grand
two of them.
Moat, yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
It's separate. I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's separate. Yes, yeah, that one. The Grand Moat Festival is someone else who invented that. The Littleberg tournament is only in my campaign, so to speak. I've added it to the King's Festival. Then from God's Day the 4th, then in Ferjundi Veluna, it's the King's Festival, and that's when the king he gathers. Usually, I have it in Littleberg for the tournament, and all the other nobles arrive, and they have the big. And it's started out actually to be a festival for the Knight of the Heart. So all the knights gather there, and that now it's become all the ones. So they gather there, and at the end of the festival, all the newcomers they actually dub new knights, so to speak. They have a festival. So the ones that could be inserted or like included in the order, they will be dubbed knights at the end, so to speak. So yeah.
I can talk a little bit about King's festivals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Something rules related, unfortunately. So one of my favorite things to do back in the day was use the companion set D&D rules, not the AD&D, but the basic D&D.
Basic D&D, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Teal book, I think it was.
Yeah.
And in it has domain rules, and one of the things in there is has a short bit about holidays and how if you rule your own domain, it shows how if you have a festival, if you as the ruler of this domain, you call a festival, if your title is count or lesser, the festival costs you 1 gold piece per month, or per peasant, sorry. 1 gold piece per peasant.
Yeah.
And if you're a duke or higher, so like if you're a king, then it costs you 2 gold pieces per peasant. And it says that if you don't call a festival at least once a year, then you have to make a confidence check, or
or people will not like you, and yeah.
I always thought that was kind of a neat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that was out of the companions rule set.
Yep.
And they also had it also has my favorite mass combat rules, War Machine. It's all math.
Okay.
But it's simplified.
Yep.
Simplified, unlike battle system.
Like if I want to resolve a battle in 5 minutes, I would use War Machine.
Okay.
I also introduced in the tournament rules there, I used a more advanced than the standard rules. So you, for instance, you roll for, instead of taking 10 on armor class, so you have 10 plus whatever, plus your armor and your dexterity and armor provides. Instead of having 10, you roll your defensive rolls, so to speak. So you can go high, you can get worse or better results. And so both parties roll for it. So in jousting,
that makes a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. So when we had duels like that, and when you went in sword fighting or you had the arena fighting like the knights do, and so on, then you roll the defensive roll as well as an attack roll. So it becomes more tedious, but that means that lower ones can actually compete with higher ones because you can go up and down a lot more. If you roll 1 on your defensive roll, you can be screwed up almost however. So you can get -+ or -10 on your armor class.
I love running joust tournaments, archery tournaments. I love doing that.
Yeah, I did that. That was something we did almost every year when we gamed back in the day. We did it very often because we went. They literally teleported to Littleberg once, so we were part of. And we can go. They could go there and have fun.
Nice.
I guarantee a streamed joust tournament this year.
Okay.
I do.
Awesome.
I do.
Yep.
We're going to have one. We're going to use those supplemental rules in the Dragon magazine about being unhorsed and all that. Right in
that's
there.
What we did too.
Article.
Yeah, and rules for breaking lances and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So,
so neat stuff. What is the miners' fairs at the bottom of Good Month?
It's a bit like the hunters' rendezvous. So the miners' fairs is where miners go out and they kind of get new equipment and it's a fair when people who sell equipment to it and various stuff like that. I think that's how I put it in there for that.
The other one I have in Good Month is Dark Night, which sounds pretty bad.
I don't have that one in Good Month.
It says also called Black Night or Star Night. This is the only day of the year when both Luna and Selene are new and dark.
Oh, that's interesting because in my calendar that happened the month before. So it's kind of but I've had inconsistencies like that show up too because I've taken from various sources. So
new and dark. Okay. Well, it says here that
they're both that it happens in the middle of summer. It should happen in the middle of winter rather than summer. But
it's bizarre.
Yeah.
It says it is a holy night for both the Church of Celestion and Corel.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting.
Oh, Jason just popped up a ton of stuff on it. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So I wager that every deity in the book has some holiday attributed to them, right?
Yeah.
Someone somewhere has made it. Because if you're talking about Corel holidays and Atrua holidays, what's who hasn't been given a holiday? I imagine.
Yeah, every religion should have some. Every god, every religion of note, so to speak, should have some festivals that are or days, something that are special for them. So yeah.
Yeah, Rudd has a holiday.
Yeah, well, it's good to see that whoever. I guess I don't know if a lot of this. I'm assuming with Casey, a lot of it's living Greyhawk, but there was so much going on living Greyhawk, it was spread out so much, and I guess that was the idea for it. You got a lot of detail.
Have we come across a Cullinan holiday yet?
Not yet.
No, but we need to.
Yeah, we need it. Yeah, so that's something to be investigated.
That would be awesome because we're going to see someone who's online. Hopefully, he's still when he comes. We'll be playing especially Priest of Kellan in our fundraiser event.
Cool.
Yeah.
A half orc, especially Priest of Kellan.
Oh, that's awesome.
That'll be awesome. So
after Good Month comes the month of Harvester, and we're still in summer, so it's the kind of the last month of summer. Yep, and then it's in Elven. It's called Fruitfall. I love these names because they're kind of very descriptive that way. And for the nomads is the month of the squirrel. And I have from the 11th to the 14th, I have the Loggers Fest. Loggers Fest. So yeah, so the various kind of trades or whatever, they have fests like that. So I guess that's when they get ready after summer and go out and
roller
or something.
This is all over the place.
Down the river.
Yep. And then on the 20th, the Baklunish have something called Raksha Bandhan. Yep. Fest in the Bakluni lands and in Pearland and Highfolk as well. A celebration of siblings, where bracelets and flower necklaces are made and traded along with sweets. For those who do not have siblings, a blood brother ceremony is sometimes performed among very close friends. Okay.
That would sound like a good holiday to do in game. If you have two players whose characters are very close, that would be a neat holiday to bring up.
And then on the God's Day, the 25th of Harvester, there is the Imperial Victory Festival, and celebrated in the former Great Kingdom to celebrate early victories and conquests, still celebrated in North Kingdom, United Kingdom of Alyssa, and some other areas. That one, I think, is someone invented it. I kind of tweaked it a little bit in my campaign. So it's that's why it's still celebrated in North Kingdom, United Kingdom, Melissa, and some other areas that have strong Airdy tradition, so to speak. So it's when they celebrate Airdy conquest, so to speak. So yeah.
All right, so let's see here. So that's Harvester. I see Rollo's Day in here.
Okay, what is that?
Harvester 13. So it's during the Loggers Fests.
Yeah.
It says celebrated as a day that Margrave Rollo established the independence of Bissell from Friundi. In 481 common year, the state is full of drink and food. It culminates in a mock battle representing the Margrave saving the king of Friundi from a humanoid attack.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah, it is. And then I have one
Very
more
well.
at the beginning of the month at Richfest. I missed 4 as Foundation Day, which is the day that this is the important one. The day that celebrates Narwhal's founding. So there you go. That's Foundation Day
on Richfest 4th.
Yeah. So cool stuff. There's Rollo's Day. Jason just popped that up there.
Yeah, perfect.
So yep, neat. All right, so we got the last quarter to go then, huh?
Yep, and but first we have Brewfest.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and it's also known as the Feast of Venta or Wenta. Yeah, and it's also the week when the Keelland and Allied states celebrate the Regal Games in Yoldra. That's a bit, in my campaign, I haven't adventured much, but I see it as the same as the King's Festival and the games in Littleberg for me. So it's the jousting and all that in Brewfest in Yoldra. So, yeah. But my sense is that the Shieldamar or the Kingdom of Keelland is not as warlike and imperial as the former Airdy states and stuff. They're more kind of an old, mature empire that had been there so long that they've gone through that phase, so to speak. I get that sense when I'm reading about it and stuff that they are not. They had their expansion phase when they conquered other countries and so on and so forth, and now they settled down. They're more like European countries that used to be empires have long past that, so to speak.
So
yeah.
Brewfest is also known as the Drunken Days or Feast of Brewers, right?
Yes.
And there's not of worshippers of all of Damara claim it as a holy time, but there's not a lot of specific
I guess
holidays.
Brewfest is kind of Brewfest is more like people get out and get drunk. It's free day all week.
For some reason, it's probably the only festival my players would remember.
I thought they would not remember it, so to speak. So,
okay.
But there is a momentous one in here. Brewfest 4.
Oh.
Raxavort's Orgy again.
Oh, okay. I have to make sure. Yes.
Holy Day of Raxavort is identical to one at Growfest 4. The simple creatures just don't have another name for it. It coincides with the second mating season of the Zvarts.
What the hell?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Funny.
Yep. And okay, so now we come into fall here, and that starts with Patchwall, and that's the Elven month of Brightleaf. Another one with these awesome names that I kind of love.
Here.
And in the Nomads, it's the month of the Hare.
Nice.
And it starts on Friday or Free Day the 7th with Bellringer's Feast. It's the to honor brotherhood in and between former Great Kingdom lands. Everyone gathers at the largest bell in the region, and which is rung, and then exchange treats and other baked goods. The militia also turns out in full regalia, and this festival is connected with themes of warning and preparedness. So it was kind of
Sounds like an old Great Kingdom.
Yes, exactly. It's old Airdy from the glory days of the Great Kingdom. Yes, yeah. So I in my campaign they still celebrated out of tradition.
St. Kargoth rings a bell. I'm not coming.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yep. And celebrations well, this day has become more festive with some embattled lands. Its original purpose that completely reasserts itself, and celebrations in Nyrons are likely to be strained at best. And in Ulmor, they don't celebrate it at all. Yeah. And then you have the old Festival of Lamas, and that's on the 14th. And that's to mark the annual wheat harvest. So on this day, customary to bring a loaf of bread made from the new crop, and it's supposed to be and it's supposed to be harvested at Lamas tide, which are halfway point between the summer solstice and autumn September equinox. What the heck? Someone put that in there. So yeah.
Casey says they use that one definitely.
Yep.
In the Banner
So
Kingdoms.
yep, and then we have one again in God's Day 18th. It's Wickers. This sounds like something old Celtic kind of something. So it's Oich Samha. I'm sorry about my Celtic. It's not that good. Hallows of Eve in Jeff and Ulick States and Old Faith area. So that's another Old Faith. There's a lot of Old Faith stuff.
I've never done a whole lot of Old Faith stuff.
Yeah,
I know I've had a lot of my friends will play Druids time to time, but then we never get into the lore or.
Well, we can go into that discussion too, is between Old Faith and New Faith Druids, because I think there's a distinction there too.
Oh, you have New Faith Druids.
I think. Well, I think that when you get into certain deities that are like rarely utilized in the game, I don't know if Beerus lawful good. Oh my god, my brain shut off. We have one that exists in the depths of the Vespi. Oh my gosh.
In my campaign, Druids are all
my brain
Old Faith.
is fried.
And they are not dedicated to one. They are dedicated to a pantheon, meaning the Old Faith pantheon. When you have Beerus, you had Ubadhai.
That's it. The Shalom. Obadiah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Obadiah we have as an older druidic sect over. So and like we have we utilize.
Yeah,
we utilize. Well, actually, we pulled Serenus right out of the book because like the personification of nature that is angry, right? So we kind of we like that one in our game. So especially in the especially in the Vespi.
So for my campaign, then Druids are Old Faith, and so if you're a Druid, then you're Old Faith, and it's dedicated to all the gods, so to speak. Whether Beerus for certain things, like if you want to if the Druid is called upon to bless the fields, for instance, it will be Beerus, or to make sure that a couple will get kids and stuff like that will be Beerus. And if it would be to save you from the nature's wrath and stuff, then you will pray to Ubadhai, and so there. And also you have I forgot the god of trees and stuff. What was the
Rolfane Ralphil is the Elven god of
exactly.
tree.
You have Elven, and then you have another one that is very Greyhawky. Someone in chat can save me from or find that for me.
The Elven tree god, the human tree god?
It's exactly the human general one that is, like, to me very similar to the Elven one. So
Ilona?
Exactly, Ilona, that's the one. Yeah. And that, to me, in my campaign, is like an old Elven god that got a human name and was taken over by the Flan. Exactly. It's both. And in my campaign, that's so it's an old Flan god, meaning it's a Druid Old Faith god.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have in our campaign with once again another pronunciation based on time. We pronounce Alana, which is probably way wrong too.
No, but that sounds cool.
We have that you can be. That's one of two deities that you can have, either specialty priests or specialty druids. We have both. We have either or, depending. So that and Zerbo are the two. Because it has worked, and we're going to talk about that deity on Sunday in our Elfish discussion, because that's a crossover deity if I've ever seen one. So it's cool. You say Elona, okay? So we all say it differently. We say it. Yeah, that's. So I'm assuming this last one here on your list is Halloween, All Hallows Eve, Wickers.
Yeah. Yep. And that means that you raise dead has bonus, and there is a whole bunch of stuff that goes into that one. So yeah, soul cakes are begged by passersby, and some larger cities also have great mummers play. Yeah, it's again, that seems to be a popular theme in Greyhawk. Everybody dies at the end, but then resurrect themselves, and yeah.
Sounds great, doesn't it?
Yep. So it's kind of, but it's a tough world, I guess. So you have a lot of that stuff. So that's what I have for Patchwall, and
I got one or two here. I love
Mhm.
this one. No, it's actually, yeah, I have two. Let's do this one first. Patchwall 8, Annual Greyhawk Council of Mayors and Manorial Lords. This holiday was formed after the Greyhawk Wars to recognize the leaders of local communities. Okay,
Ooh.
that's kind of boring.
No, I like that. I like stuff like that.
This one is great. Laughing Day, Patchwall for 1. Thought to have been started by Zaggy Gagarini, Laughing Day is famous across the Flanders for always having a wet moon. The crescent moon appears horizontal with both horns upright, looking like a bowl that could hold much water. It also resembles an odd smile to some extent. Laughing Day is a day for practical jokes. The worse, the better. Yeah, that's an awesome one.
Yeah.
It is known as, of course, fans Day for pranks. So that's Patchwall 1, Laughing Day.
Yep.
Nice.
And now we only have a couple of more months. We have one. The next one is the Ready Reet, and now we're firmly into autumn. And the Elven name is Tinkling Ice. It's another one of these awesome, nifty names. And for the nomads is the Month of the Hawk. And it starts out for me in my calendar on Water Day the 5th, the turning of the Shebar stone. And let's see, I don't think I've ever used it. So commemorates the feast of Shebiar, or however you pronounce it, a famous Oridian hero of awesome strength, and also a way of clearing the land. The largest stone on the property is rolled once towards the west. This holiday produced many injuries just in time for Festival of the Hope, that is on Free Day the 7th. Yeah, and healing and atonement is offered by those who can do so to speak. And
sounds like it's
it's an Irish day or Scottish day.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like it. Yep.
Yeah, it's when the Kyber, it's the Kyber stone, the one you flip. Right?
Okay. Yep.
You throw one and you flip the board, that big pole.
Okay.
Oh, God, what the heck was
okay.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. At every Ren Fair, you see people getting injured doing it. So.
Okay. So that's a tradition of that. Okay. Yep. And then there is a whole bunch of days that a 4-day festival from the 11th to the 14th for the god of I can't say it, Tritherian or Tritherian. Tritherian, yeah, that's the name. Yeah, so it's the days of dedication and it starts out with the day of remembrance, and then it goes on with the day of reflection, and then comes the day of retribution, and then it ends on the 14th with the Great Free Day that ends the days of dedication. So that's the special for Tritherian followers.
One of our most popular deities in our campaign.
Cool. Yep. So that's Ready Reet from the 11th to the 14th. And then I have one in that on the 25th, God's Day the 25th, is the day of dedication and valor. It's in the former institute in Grey Kingdom. That's when the new Knight Protectors were actually dubbed into the order, so to speak. So the new Knight Protectors were actually enshrined into the order and stuff back in that day. And that's why in lands in my the United Kingdom of Alyssa and stuff, that's when new nobles and stuff like that are being, so new barons and princes and whatnot. It's so on. They are also getting their dedication and stuff on that day of the year.
Yeah, it's I guess that's a dubbing day, right? For like squires and knight initiates, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, back in the Great Kingdom times, so to speak. And
well, I think it says down at the bottom that Shieldlands and the Knights of the Heart have often used this now as a dubbing day as well.
Yep.
So it's just out of tradition, which is cool.
Yep.
I got 2 here in this month. Mike, do you have any you want to talk about at this point? Do you have any special ones that you?
I have a homebrew festival, but again, it doesn't have a specific month it's set in.
Go for it, man. Let's hear it.
Sure. Okay, in the Hold of Sea Princes. I should probably do a blog post on this one.
Yeah.
That would be, that would be
like to
great
know.
on
a
Drunk.
lot of things.
I think
Yeah.
everyone online
So-
would say, yes, put it on Greyhawkery, all
Yeah.
these.
Mhm.
That
Okay,
would
so
be
I have-
awesome.
Picture it. Hold of Sea Princes. The Princes Festival, held in Monmurg, the capital, is a 3-day event where they commemorate the coronation, in quotes, of Prince Gian II.
Mhm.
As you know, their titles in this Hold of Sea Princes aren't really legit royal titles. Most of them are self.
It's like the
yeah.
Bandit Kingdoms. They call themselves lots of
But
things.
they do, after a while, some of them are hereditary. Anyhow, it's a 3-day holiday in the capital where taxes are suspended for a day, and they chow down on crab meat and fly kites with heraldry, their little personal house symbols on them.
Wow, that is cool. Yep.
There's a lot of street parties and betting, and then it's all capped off by the Prince's Cup Regatta.
Okay,
where
Cup
there is
Regatta.
It's a race.
Yeah. Where you have a sailing race somewhere there on the bay, and the main there's a lot of competition between some of the factions in the Hold of Sea Princes. At least my Hold of Sea Princes campaign, you got factions like the Prince's Fleet, the Tully Armada, and the Hold Flotilla. So, or whatever your player character ship may be.
Mhm.
So you all compete, and the winner gets like a real fancy silver trophy, and gets to meet the prince himself and all that stuff. And I did run this in my campaign.
That is
Oh, that is awesome.
awesome.
Yep.
And it's all right. I'm sorry. It's 10 million times better than the Scarlet Brotherhood coming in. I'm sorry. It is.
Yeah. Oh, I
I hate that.
it ruins everything that would be fun about the Hold of Sea Prince.
Yeah, I agree 100%. 100%. And that is so cool. Do you
Yeah.
have all right, one more question? The Hold of the Sea Princes Navy is superior because of maneuverability over the Keoland Navy. It's not as powerful as Keoland and Ulick Navy, but it's much more piratey maneuverable. I'm just curious. And yours?
I'm going to go with that they are better because they've had more practice.
Okay.
They've explored more.
They're better
they
sailors.
also have access. They're better sailors, and they have better materials because of the access to the southern forest.
Oh yeah, they have trees from the
So their
Amedio jungle and
could
stuff.
literally be stronger, more
Mhm.
durable,
Right.
Yeah.
and they have more experienced sailors.
So they basically, it's not a Viking ship, but it's the quality of a Viking ship
Quality.
type and the sailors of that based against a
The
European.
culture is sailing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Keelan does have a very appreciable navy.
Yeah.
It's one of their main rivals, but
Right.
it's not like their main thing.
I love that. I mean, I love
That's
every
a great
aspect of
idea.
that
Yep.
too.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think you should write one of those on your blog too.
Yep.
About
I
about the Sea Princess Navy and the and then
I do. I think I do have stuff on the blog already about.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because that's a good one for alternate Earths too that we discussed.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I can.
Yeah, for the next Earth Journal, I think that'd be a fantastic
Something
alternate
secret.
Earths.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have one in Ready Reach, another one
Okay.
that is from my campaign,
Okay.
and that's the Velverdiva fishing festival. And all along the Velverdiva River from divers all the way up to Perlenland or High Folk, there is a fishing festival. So every village and town and city along the river, people go out, and before the gets really cold and wintry, you go out, and on free day there's a fishing day, and there's prizes who catch the biggest fish and stuff like that of various sorts in certain areas and stuff. So that's what we and that's something that I invented because I needed something to do in my campaign, and it happened to be that day, and we needed something to do. So everyone went out and went around, and we made rolls and to see where so I made actually a local map where I picked out the areas where different fish were, and then the characters actually have to go out and find the areas, and they have to roll and say that they put in and what they had for bait. So I had different pluses and minuses for various types of bait, so they have to go out and find the bait, and when they found the and really like yummy grubs were of course in some nasty stuff. So there were like swarms of bees, and there were all sorts of nasty stuff that can happen to the characters when they were out finding this. So it was a whole kind of mini little campaign event that happened, and then there were people that went around stealing the fish for others and sinking the boats, and it was a lot of fun, hilarious. So we've had the
Fishing,
the
Anna,
Villanova. Yeah.
fishing is one of those things you think would be boring as hell, but
We
like they
had
threw
lots of
fishing in
fun.
even in World of Warcraft. There was a ton of fishing.
Yeah,
You're
we had
I
lots
mean,
of fun with it.
I-
Yeah. And you can make so many rolls. You have to find the bait. Then you have to decide if you fish from the shore, and then it gets muddy and you can fall in, and you have to have a little boat, and you have to row, you have to sail, and you can use a net, and there's all sorts of things that can go
The Sea
wrong.
Princess campaign that I'm referring to of mine that I introduced this Prince's Festival, that campaign started out as a crab fishing.
See? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
They were crab fishermen, and I had charts and rules for catching crabs and cages and all that and that stuff. It's probably a pocket. It was based off of.
And one of the reasons that we did it was one of my players, he was an avid sports fisherman. So he was so into it. So him and me, we sat down and did some of the rules and stuff, and he knew so much about it. So we did a lot of different things, and we invented fantasy versions of it.
That's something interesting. That's a totally different topic, but like there's some old Dragon Magazine articles that used to have the cost of pelts and eggs and things, and you could do a whole career on just harvesting stuff like that, and not even do any adventures.
And look at MMOs. In the digital world of MMOs, you can actually make a really good career as a player by simply harvesting stuff and
there was a book in WoW that you fished out of Zul'Farrak, and it was a book. You could normally change people into like a sheep, and this one changed them into a pig, and that book was like 20,000 gold pieces. You put it on the market. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yep. So this is just the tabletop version of doing the same thing, kind of. Yeah.
Phantom, I'll be linking stuff all the time. I try and do that. I try and give a shout out to everyone, who on here. I got them all up on my. Thank God I got that stream deck. It's awesome.
Yep.
So I have one for Ready Reet, and that is the day of. These are always nasty in this thing. The day of treachery.
Okay. Yeah,
day of treachery, only remembered in what's left of the bandit kingdoms. This date marks the day. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. This date marks the day when 10,000 bandits gathered in Steelborn Meadows and were betrayed and slaughtered by Bernal, a priest of Ayuz, and his servants.
Yep. Oh wow. Yep.
Who would celebrate that?
Well, Ayuz probably celebrates it.
No, it says it's considered a pivotal event in the residents of those lands. So it just recently happened in game terms, according to this. There you go.
Yeah, it's
Casey says yes on that one. Yeah.
It's their never forget holiday.
Yeah.
1,000. And I guess
10,000. I'm sorry, 10,000 bandits.
Oh yeah,
holy jeez. So,
well,
all right. We got one more.
Now
month.
we have one more month, and that's Sun's Ebb. That's the end of the last month of the year. And in Elven, it's Lazy Snows, another one of these awesome names. And for the nomads, it's the month of the wolf. And I have nothing until the 23rd, where it's one of these kind of weird Celtic things, Merrywid or something, the Parade of Old Faith. Parade with All Faith routes, consisting of white costumed followers led by a robed person wearing a horse skull, singing blessings at the door of the villagers, and rewarded with treats. Popular among Geophytes, Tennis, and Steric, and well as the county of Ulick and Greyhawk. And I can tell what that comes from. In Europe, I don't think you have it here. You have the tradition of Saint Lucia. And in Sweden, there's a tradition every Lucia. That's December something. Yeah, December 8th or early December. There's a tradition of the Saint of Lucia. She's from some island down in Mediterranean originally. She was a Catholic saint, and in Sweden that kind of got changed in when Sweden switched into Protestant, she was the only Catholic saint that was still celebrating, and they do it to this day. It's kind of a beauty contest. Every little town and village gets the most beautiful girl. That's how it's supposed to be, but it's actually usually the girl with most amount of relatives get voted to dress up in white and wear like a crown with the candles, and then they sing Christmas and other songs and stuff like that. And then you go around and it's a kind of a get ready for Christmas thing. And there's like little Santas behind her, and they go around singing for old people in schools and stuff like that. So this sounds very much like that. It sounds, and it's in December, so I think it comes from that.
I've got a cat in my room now.
Yep.
See? Cat invasion.
And it's called Lucia. I can put it in chat here. So.
And the Days of Thought, huh?
Yep. Yeah, and then you have the Days of Thought. Yep. And that's sacred to devotees of Rao, Deleb, and some sages. So I guess that must be a big day or a festival in Viluna, I simply suspect, because that seems to be the most academic of all the realms in Greyhawk.
So I gotta remember for Casey to discuss the last one from the last month, which was the Day of Treachery. So I definitely got to get him to remember that I said ask me on the 22nd.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff written about the Steelbone Meadows. Yep.
So
there is some in I Use the Evil, and there's some other stuff in there too. So yeah.
Neat stuff. All right, so I think we got through a lot. Yeah, Mike,
I think we
No, just Casey's info bombing.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, try to get the cat out. If he's not coming out. Yeah. So, wow, that's a lot. I mean,
that was the whole year.
Yeah, and what's great is that we have a lot of cross references, and the one I have that I never mentioned was, and it's not a specific one, but in this article it talks about the birth or death of a religious leader or someone of importance that becomes its own holiday for that time. In Expedition to the Ruins of Greyhawk, you have Rigby finally dies after all his hiding away from Ius. So his body comes into town, and it's basically a festival going on to celebrate that in the town, because he was a Bakab? Priest of Bakab, I think.
Sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah. And and the Iusians are there, and they end up desecrating his body. It's all fun and games. So it's really a good time. But that's the one time I specifically took a festival event and utilized it really in depth during that adventure. Once again, that was one right before we started streaming. We did that one, and but as far as other festivals, I really can't think of.
No, I think we
may call them something, but for me personally, that was the one we did. So yeah, there's a lot of absolutely. There's a lot of scattered all over the place, and you can utilize them. And once again, if you're DMing, you can throw in any that you want whenever you want. And make up your own, and that's the great thing about having a campaign.
That's what I started thinking about. Was I know all the published holidays for the more popular ones, and then coming into the show, I started thinking to myself, which ones have I created? And
Yep, that's the thing for me too. I'm not really sure. Yeah,
the Sea Princess one's awesome. That is really cool. What was the name of that one again?
Princess Festival.
Princess Festival. Okay. I don't want my guys getting confused with the Prince of Ulick. So we have some time still before we do announces, and I would like to go over time itself.
Yes.
And this is a good one to think about.
Okay.
If you're going to do a campaign, because I get this all the time. You see, there's a new guy just popped on today on Brian's Greyhawk Resources and said, I'm 1E, 2E, but I don't know where to start or whatever. Where do you start? And I think Jason Zavoda brought up something in last Sunday's discussion, Mike, about eras instead of years, but a kind of a sub. Then you have to break it down. Like, do you start at 576? like I started my campaign when I was 11, 12 years old at 569 at Battle of Emerald Meadows. When do you start, and like where do you take the access on
You
time?
go with published material. You almost have to do 576, in my opinion, because you're going to. It's the only thing that's common across all particular Greyhawk gamers. You know, whether or not you're new or old, everyone's probably dealt with 576, so it's the common starting point.
Okay, but then none of the Living Greyhawks happened. None of the wars have happened. And what if you are a 5-year and you have all that stuff? What do you do?
You can still start a campaign and play through those events if you want to. That's
No.
the way
I
I
think you're
did
starting
it. I've been
598 then. Though,
Oh, yeah,
Anna.
if you want to
If
play
you-
after the war,
Yeah.
then you should
Yeah.
95 or something like that, and then go on. I think it ends in 595, 96 or something like that. I think the Living Greyhawk campaign kind of ends.
I think they no. I think they were. I think it was 598. They were really
Okay, they ran
to get
okay. They ran all the way up to 98. Yep.
I think so.
So
Yeah, I'm not sure because I wasn't in Living. That's something we get to the next show, but that's that we will have. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's a good question because I just was thinking about it when Anna's talking about our 576 map and like you know, me editing my stuff back on, and I'm like I'm thinking 576 is the map I should use, but then I do have all the shield lands is completely changed. That's not 576. That's That's later, and I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my
but
god.
We're talking about a 20-year span.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
And that was the problem when I, because I've been thinking about, because the reason I set my map in 598, the first one I did was simply that because it was the year
The
I gained it.
whole.
Yeah, it was
return.
simply because I started out doing the project. It started out being it kind of followed the year. So it started out at 576, and then I expanded it and changed it as Living Greyhawk. And at first, the Sergeant era came out with all that from the Ashes and the Sergeant era stuff, and then Living Greyhawk came out. And then when I finished it, it was 598 because that was the map I needed for my own game. But now I realize the reference map is the 576. That's the year most Greyhawk gamers have as the reference year. So when I needed now to revert my map back to 576, I had a dilemma because there were two camps, and people have been throwing this at me for 10 years. You need to do a 576 map. And I kind of did, because I did a version of my map that I only put the content that was on the Darlene map, period, nothing else.
Right.
And that satisfied some of the really hardcore ones, meaning it's not made by Gary and in the original material for Greyhawk, it's not on my Greyhawk, period. So you have these kind of die-hard, go back to the basics and nothing else. But I realized that all the wealth of material from the Sergeant era, from the Paizo Hawk products, from Living Greyhawk, meaning that's wealth of stuff. So I didn't want to simply abandon all that and make a map that just have the stuff that was in the original set of products released by TSR back in the day. So what I did was that I kept, if a city is mentioned in Living Greyhawk existing, and
Most likely it was around 20 years ago.
Exactly, you should probably be around 20 years earlier. So that's why I kept
it changes the political boundaries.
Exactly, yeah. So that was my approach, so to speak. So I've tried to keep the content as much as possible that was invented later, that assuming that it was still there earlier, so to speak. And that's been my approach to do the 576 map. So that way you can play in 576, and there's these places, and if you want, you can look up and get content that is later and kind of look it up and then simply backtrack and say, okay, but back in 576, this city was in Horn Society, or some other, take Almore, for instance, a country that was kind of wiped out during the wars. And Almore had borders, and Shathole was a big city that had a harbor and a thriving community. But if you go after the wars, it was a smoking ruin with demon infested whatever. And so my approach was to keep as much of the content and just roll back the history, so to speak.
So I know Jason talked about eras and whatnot, but I think it really, for play style, it might come down to two choices, like this Gygax era, right, which I think was very political, and then you have a Sergeant era and after, which is like the dark and gritty
Yeah.
Greyhawk.
Yeah, the
I've heard
spale plague of the
everything's
Greyhawk.
messed up, and evil's
Yep.
really ascendant. So it's like, do you want to play with brand new out of the box Greyhawk, or do you want to play with really messed up, broken, evil Greyhawk?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I
Yeah.
played through both. And
Okay.
the
Yeah.
campaign's still going. So
Yeah. But you did in your campaign the wars and stuff. Did they happen?
Yeah.
Like did you took in the Sergeant era and
Oh,
made
yeah.
it canon
But-
in your game, so to speak?
But you
or-
got to remember that the Pomars did not take over any of the Principality.
That's what I meant. You
Oh, yeah.
adopted. You took parts of it, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
kept parts of it. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, the shield land's lost and all, but now it's a lot of it's being retaken, and
Mhm.
you know, you had to pick and choose. I really did.
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
one of the things I did was I've said this multiple times is they killed off some just for no reason. I know some people say for sacrifice, but there's personalities I wanted to keep, so I kept
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
I kept them.
Yeah.
I kept Grimry Fisher. I kept oh God, oh, man, I can't. I always forget her name. The one with the Paladin.
Karstein?
The Karstein's still around. She's still alive.
Okay. Mhm.
Oh my God, it's gonna drive me insane here. I'll keep
Paladin
going. Keep
from what
going. The
country?
one. Oh my God, Volderessa Sharn. Volderessa. Lady Volderessa gets killed in the from the ashes, and there's a couple others too.
Mhm. Okay.
You know, it's you have to pick and choose as a
Yeah.
DM,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I was always thinking Y576. I think I mean I just love the earlier. I love early stuff. I love the early stuff. I loved I mean, the Battle of Emerald Meadows was like legendary. Cause you talked about because it's the only thing discussed in that folio, right? And it's like, wow, I could read.
Yeah. So in your campaign, is Grey Kingdom still around, or has that fallen apart?
Well, the problem with that is we don't play over there.
Yeah, so you
So
have
I don't even
that's a non-issue for you still. You haven't had
I haven't had
it's
the
like Schrodinger's cat. You haven't
Right,
opened
we
the
have
box yet. So
if
so
we
you have,
if we end up going over there for some reason, yes, but we
then
don't-
you have to
we don't
then you have to
utilize it.
flesh
We
it out.
utilize
Yep.
Greyhawk,
Mhm.
you know, and all the way down that swath down into the
Yep.
Bright Desert on that side of the Aberrals. That's as
Yep.
far east as we really end up going a lot.
Yeah, and same thing for me up until
Yeah.
6 years ago. I moved to California and I started to map it. I realized what the heck, run a campaign there, so I did. Yeah.
I completely agree with David here. Now,
Yeah.
I have a couple friends who we have played through all the material, but when I bring newer players into Greyhawk, I nowadays really avoid drowning them in history. You know, like
my
if we're doing
poor
Sea
players.
Princess stuff, that's all they probably know is Sea Princess. They don't know hardly anything outside of that.
For new players, you want to keep it simple, you know, and then bring
Yeah.
them in, entice them in. So it's a great point. It's an excellent point, David. Thank you so very
I
much.
kill my players with stuff like that, so no one wants to play my campaign. No, they want to play my campaign, but it's,
Jason does.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a lot of people who want to play my campaign, but I'm going against all that advice. I know it's great advice and I want to follow it, but I'm too much of a buff for stuff like this. So I'm too passionate about it. But on the other hand, it's mostly for me as a kind of a way for me to hang out my creativity on or build it on, so to speak. It's not something that if you play a fighter in my campaign, you don't have to know anything about history or whatever. You can simply ignore all of that and say that, oh shit, I don't care that. I need to find someone to skull to smash or a barbarian or something. You can. But on the other hand, if you're a cleric and you want to get into to be part of running your church or your order, then it becomes way more something you need to know about. So it depends on who you play and what your ambitions, your character's ambitions are.
Well, I'm sorry. It's three. David Michael Duquesne makes a point, and I'm going to give you an example. So my guys are lucky if they remember if they had a tuna fish sandwich for lunch before they get to my house, right? So because you know we're all in our 50s now, and we're all worked a long day, and so a lot of times I'll refer back. Remember this person, and it happened a month ago. And they're like, so I understand what the exact point you're making. But for the DM, it's like you want to have that justification. You want to have that richness. You want it to live and
Yeah.
breathe.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
you don't need to know all the locations, like they don't need to know all the noble house locations in Selene that I have down,
Yeah.
but they're down, and that's the whole point, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's like in my campaign, if you just want to go around murdering, holding, killing things, you don't need to worry about it at all, because the more ignorant you are, the more things that will pop up and attack you, so you get more chance to kill things. So but on the other hand, it depends on what your ambitions for your character and as a player is. So yeah, so I have a lot of players that played in my campaigns over the years who haven't give two rat's ass about any of the political, religious kind of goofiness that I keep introducing in it. And some of my players have been whole hog into it and written stories about it and helped me flesh out a lot of stuff, so to speak. So yeah.
and you got to play. And Phantom brings up a good point. You need to tailor your gaming to your players.
Yeah.
And I've done that, and everyone sees it on every Thursday night.
And
But
you've gone out for 40 years, which
yeah.
says a lot.
And sometimes you'll see during the game they'll walk off in the transiency. They'll walk off and pick up a book or whatever, and that's what I deal with, because it's not a theatrical production. It's the game. We're playing on it. We're playing the game. That's what it is. I'm not. We're not Critical Role. We're not doing it. We're doing streaming the playing of our game, not the actual live role play of our game or whatever. So it's a little different, but it's cool though. And you gotta be able to as a DM pick your spots with your players. You just have to.
And I think when you start a new game right now, I think it's a good idea to base it in the 576 Greyhawk, but pick a small area and pick a realm, pick one of the countries or borderlands or wilderness, and then start your gaming there, so to speak, and keep it local to begin with, and then flesh that bit out and do small local things and learn about that area, and then move on gradually, or run the classics, so to speak. There is a number of adventures modules you can buy as
you can
PDFs
play
now.
all those classic modules.
Yeah, and a lot of them are available as PDFs from Drive-Thru RPG, so you can get a whole bunch of source material.
I got to get into one quick question. Our buddy Tom, who sits right next to me on Thursday nights, asked, "Have you guys ever done anything to involve time travel?" And I said I know of two modules that have some severe time travel in it. One is that third-party one, the Tower. Did you ever see that one? We actually fight like the Germans. It's kind of stupid, but Tom got it for me like 30 years ago. I've never run it. I'm never going to. But it's like a classic Roll Aids module. But the other one is Egg of the Phoenix. So if you've ever run the Egg of the Phoenix module,
I haven't run it, but I've seen it. Yeah, I have
you go back to like the prehistoric times in that adventure. So there's a lot of portal time travel in that one.
Yeah.
So and that's an old tournament module that if you have the original signed copies of those Falk series ones are worth like $1,000 each now. But the Egg of the Phoenix module itself is what was all compiled. I ran it one time, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
So,
I should find it. I think it's here somewhere on some shelf somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, Thunder. Thanks for that compliment, man. I appreciate that so very much. That is it. It's about real life table gaming, man. It's just that's it.
Professional.
Yeah, it's not about the professional. It's never going to be about the professional. It's about playing the game with your friends and having a good time. And sometimes an argument will ensue, or sometimes someone's going to say something stupid, which happens every week, or someone's going to belch all the time. Something's going to happen,
yep.
So, although there wasn't a lot of that when Anna was there, if you noticed, Anna and Anita when they were there.
That's interesting. There was not when the cameras were rolling. There were a few incidents before that, but they really behaved, showed their best when I was around. Yeah.
So, any other questions, guys? Or we're going to do some quickie announcements here, and this was a good one. I learned a lot tonight, and I'm gonna
see. It wasn't that bad. You had lots of stuff to come with, and
I love it when I learn things. And I'm gonna print out Casey's. Yeah, Thunder. I'm not big on CR because I been playing so long. I kind of know, like, an ogre is where I want to put 4 ogres in a fight, which challenge rating helps that, and so. But it's cool. Yeah, I understand completely. Or where to put a
Yeah.
freaking Cataplebis in. Very rarely. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter
I
what the
haven't
challenge
used it,
rating
but it's one
is.
of these monsters I would love to use.
Oh yeah.
And I need to find a swampy area to put them in.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's just you gotta just
Hmm.
in well, yeah, Casey. I can see in 3.5 and 3.0 why it would help with with those
Uh,
Well, yeah,
characters.
I use it as monster selection, so I have them put in my Evernote database with CR, so I can have like if I'm like, heading out in the desert, I can see I want a desert CR5 or between 4 or 7 or something like that, so I can put in desert and CR so and see what monsters pop up,
I
and that
think
way I can
Thunder
plan.
might have been talking about Critical Role.
Oh, gotcha.
Or are we talking about critical role? I thought we were talking about challenge
Oh,
rating.
I was sorry. Yep, critical role. Yep, see, and I rolled with it. So yep.
That's awesome. No, but all
Yep.
right. So
Oh
yeah,
yes, yeah,
it's.
that's very true. Yep.
I
Now I'm
apologize,
reading it.
Thunder. Critical
Yes.
role
Yep.
is for entertainment. Right, we got a good discussion
Yes.
there on that side
Yep.
thing. All right, so what we got cooking now? I wanted to put that up so it sat there and soaked in a
Yes,
little
that's
bit.
good. Yep.
Go ahead, Anna. What do you got going?
Well, I'm right now. I'm working on 2 other projects than Greyhawk. But I'm wrapping up the third. The 2 things that are coming out for my patrons that will be coming out for everyone soon. And first of all, it's soon time to release the release candidate number 3 is coming for the Flannies map, and I think that will be the one that will go out. There might be some people might find something. I found some typos and there's some other stuff. And I also bought all the PDFs for Carlos' all adventures and read through them and found I think 4 or 5 locations. So they will go on the release candidate of the map as well. And so thank you, Carlos, for doing awesome adventures that are fantastic. A couple of them were not set in Greyhawk, but I bought them anyway. So that was so I suggest you all go and get them. They're fantastic. He had to kind of squander some of the names and change them a little bit. Some of them are just spelled backwards, which is kind of really cool.
Ah,
Yeah, Sea of Gernot is the Sea of Tanreg, which works
hey.
really well. So yep. So there's
All right, so Carlos
Yep.
Lysing, CSL Entertainment. Let me link you
yeah.
his
See if you
Twitch
have the link
page,
to it.
and
Yep.
then you can find him on Facebook as well. Castle
Yeah, and he has a
Entertainment.
patron. Yeah, he has a patron
Shout
as
out,
well.
shout
Yep.
out, shout outs.
That's
Boom.
CASL.
Yeah.
All
There
right,
you
so
have it. Yep.
that's his Twitch page, but CSL Entertainment's where you want to look on Facebook.
Yep.
And Carlos will be at GaryCon, and Carlos has been on a lot of our shows, a lot of my Gabbin shows and Legends of Lore as well. So he's
He's a
great.
Blackhawks fan. I still love him.
Okay.
And Carlos and I are doing a joint adventure that's going to be published sometime this year as well. So it's cool stuff.
Yep.
What else you got, Anna? Anything else?
Yeah. So then I'm also working on the. So once the release candidates are done and then I will move into then the final release candidate will be published for everyone. So now because now I want the whole community. Now my patrons have been looking at this for over a month. Then I want the whole community of Greyhawk fans to look at the map and scurry over it with all the details and stuff. So that will probably be 1 or 2 more release candidates, and then when that's done in February or something, then we will nail down and say this is the 2020 edition of the 576 version of my map, and then it will be published out in JPEG, PDFs, and all the formats, so to speak, this spring. And then there will be a waterways map that shows all the rivers and in detail and stuff. That is also underway, and most of it is done, but I don't want to release it until because I want it to match the 576 version of the map. So it's coming out afterwards, first for my patrons and then for everybody else. And that will also be part of the map. So the PDF version will have an enhanced river layer where you can see more detailed what type of how wide the rivers are and how navigable they are and stuff. So that's one of the stuff that comes there. And then for my top patrons at the $5 level, the cartographers, I'm working on a post where I've described top top-down or bottom-up approach to mapping, and how the latest versions of the tools actually affect which way to go, so to speak. You can either start by making a huge map with not much detail on it just to get the whole area, or you can start out small and then gradually move out. When you do the old painting in Photoshop or sketching it on, then it doesn't matter which way you go. But once you start using 3D tools and geographical information system and stuff like that, then all of a sudden it's a huge difference whether you start and make one little piece at a bit at a time, or you make a rough, very low resolution version of the whole thing and then go in and detail it. That decision is really critical on everything you will do from then on. So it's kind of something that all the map makers that tries to do stuff the way I normally do it, that's a huge difference. And there are pros and cons on both. So I'm trying to go through a bit of that's kind of mapping technology philosophy kind of workflow thing. And so that's coming out soon. And then I'm also starting to prepare for my seminars for GaryCon.
Mhm.
And one of the things is that there will be a handout. This year there will be a handout as well so the ones that come to my seminar, and I will probably print like 100 or so. So it will be handout at the fandom Renaissance,
Renaissance.
the panel
Celebrating.
discussion, the celebration of Greyhawk, that I'm one of the panelists there. So I will hopefully have enough that I can hand it out to all of them as well, and it will be distributed as a PDF so others can download it and print it on their own printers, or just watch it or view it. That will be have a part of the 576 map will be printed as part of that handout, and it will probably be the same size as last year. So it will be 13 by 18 or 13 by 20 or something like that. So it will be fairly like a folded little thing. So that is something that I'm working on. And I also want to have some interesting new stuff and screenshots and things for my map seminar, because I will have a 2-hour map seminar. So I want to have some few cool things and some discussion. So if you go into GaryCon, the tickets aren't on sale yet, or they're not even sold. But if you have a badge, then you can just sign up for free for the seminar. So there will be, and hopefully I will have a big TV that I can show some of the stuff. Otherwise, it will be kind of a boring, like we had at Gamehole Con, because there was no TV or projector or anything. So I really hope that will be the case, that we can arrange that. That was the whole idea. So that is, and then I will also be part of the fandom discussion for the Celebrate Greyhawk. But there's a couple of other forums or seminars that I will be part of for GaryCon. And one is that Alyssa Faden and Kfir Mendel and me will have a kind of spawn seat of your pants seminar on mapping, where we will kind of create a map while we're discussing, and all three will participate.
That's neat.
That will be a kind of an idea, meaning how do we approach, because both Alyssa and me, we kind of do this a lot. So we can kind of, how do you approach certain things, meaning what's kind of cool, what would work, and how do we think? So it's kind of a workshop seminar thing that we kind of drummed up. And then there is also, I will also be part of a seminar, the one-on-one on how to be, when you're part of the industry, how it is to be a freelancer, how do you get into the industry, how can you make money doing this, and how can you approach it, how do you talk to a client, and what it is entail when a game publisher comes to you and asks you to do something, how does that work, and stuff like that. So, and a little bit of an Ask Me Anything seminar about freelancing, and that's organized by Kobo Press. So those are the seminars that I will be part of. So I hope that I will work the last month leading up to GaryCon. There will be a whole bunch of stuff that I have to sit and do, but I have a lot of things that are kind of a little bit done. So I hope that I can have some new screenshots and stuff. Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep. Thank you. Yep.
Mike.
Yep.
What's up?
I don't have quite that much going on. One thing I'm doing is I'm sleeping with this really nice book.
Oh, you're going to
yes.
torture those guys, aren't you?
Castle
Yes.
Greyhawk.
You're torturing them.
Yep.
the Absolute Edition by
Mhm.
me and Sky
Yep.
Casper.
Yep. So when is that coming out? When can the rest of the world get a chance to see it? And
To be
Nada.
determined. I don't know.
damn. Yep.
I think he's still working on getting out the first run to patrons, and then
Yep.
after that he'll see
Yep.
what he can do.
Yeah, I must admit that I've actually seen the PDF of it, so to speak. So I
Oh,
have seen the print
that's-
proof. Yeah,
Okay,
I was
yeah.
part of doing some technical assistance on that one. So I've actually seen the PDF,
Let's
and on
hope.
my screen you can look at it, and it's awesome. There's so many
Is the
awesome
PDF?
gems.
I assume then the PDF would be just as good as the print version.
Well, the print is kind of print. That's a separate beast, so to speak. But
I
yeah,
see,
I
I
don't know
see.
if the PDF will be available and through. Yeah, so that's not up to me to decide. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm running. I got 2 more chapters of Ghost of Saltmarsh to get through on Sundays, and then when that's done, I'm probably will take a hiatus, let someone else run a game for a while.
Nice.
And of course, I'm going to be blogging on Greyhawkery. I guess I got to do something about Sea Princes here.
Yeah, for the alternate Earths, man.
And for the Earth Battle.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Because I know we all pledged to do something, and I think it would be nice to get all the bloggers out and hit that up and get some nice content for Christoph, for Gary Con, because that's coming quick.
Oh,
So,
yes.
yeah.
It's only a couple of months.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of more things that I'm doing that are not for kind of public use, but I'm setting up. I will start 2 games this year.
Yes, you will.
Three games actually, but I will try to do three campaigns this year. So one is I will set up and one I will go to England, but that's back in September. So we talk about that later. But in the future, but I'm starting this spring after GaryCon. I plan to start an online campaign with a bunch of friends. So that is something that I plan.
And you've invited Jason, but I think Jason's zonked out, so he's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have so I have 4 players signed up so far that I play
nice.
with. So that might be So there's one opening now for so we'll see. But it's going to be an online. We haven't decided exactly what the actual tools, but we will see if it will be Fantasy Grounds or a combination of multiple tools. I'm sure.
Beautiful.
And that will be set in the Shield lands in my Shield lands after the war in 598. So going through all that stuff. So that will be a start at 0 level and work your way into it. So it's a campaign for a bunch of these 4 players. None of them have adventured in Greyhawk before. So this of the 4 players so far. So it will be a way to introduce them to the setting. So I try not to overburden them with too much history and stuff. So then I want to run a game here locally in Southern California. I have no players signed up yet, but I'm going to spread the word on Facebook and stuff to see if I can do it this summer to start a kind of a mini campaign. 6 or 7 sessions is what I plan to do, and it will be a trade mission to go on and guard and guide a trade caravan through a kind of a hazardous area in order to make a profit and stuff. So and players will have a secret side mission that only them will know and stuff. And that I plan to probably about 6 sessions. That's the idea, so to speak, and see if you can make that trade caravan reach its target. So it will be an overland hexting kind of thing, so to speak. So that's something I plan. So those are the for gaming, but I need to find the right players to do it. So yeah, that can live, can keep up or kind of want to play with me. That's the key. Yeah.
So that's exciting, getting people in person. It always is great to play. Better to play in person if you can.
Yep. Yeah. I need to train on that and get up to speed on that again.
All right, so you guys have already seen what I posted. There's no Legends Lore next Wednesday. It's Anna's anniversary.
Yes, so it's it's my fault, so you can blame me.
No, but so right now, I have Casey Brown, Greg Marks, J.P. Shiplow, Vernon Vincent, and possibly Doug Cowell or Doug Lowell. I can't read my own handwriting, Casey. So those are 4 of them are already confirmed. So it'll be cool. Can't wait. Cowl. There we go. So I can't read my own hand. It's a C, not an L. All right. I can't read my own handwriting. Thank you. He said he's possibly in, so we may have 5 people. So we're going to have all the Living Greyhawk, a lot of the members of who organized it, and discuss their areas. It'll be a free-for-all discussion, but who cares? It'll be fun. It may go long, I have a feeling, but that's okay on a Wednesday night. So it'll be 2 Wednesdays from tonight. It's going to be an awesome one. I love those areas. It'll be a real blast. Living Greyhawk, and that'll be in 2 weeks. So, but we got a lot of other stuff coming up before that. So let's rock with that. So tomorrow night, thank you. Tomorrow night we finish up with I hate that when it comes up. Thank you very much for the follow. Tomorrow night we finish up Return to Orog's Mound, and then that'll be an interesting finish to that. We'll finish that up next week. I mean tomorrow. Geez, listen to me. It's been 20 years since Living Greyhawk, but we'll have all the people back, which is cool, David. So I'm looking forward to that discussion because I know nothing about it because I never participated in it, unfortunately. After that, next week on Gabbin we're going to delve into the elves. Not dark elves, guys. Elves. Real elves. Okay?
The good guys.
The good guys. We're going to delve into elves and Gabbin, and it's got some history that I have never heard of before. You're going to go over, correct, with the Vecna stuff?
Yeah, we can go back, and it's thanks to David in some part, because his articles made me kind of go back and he made a wonderful summary, David Leonard, when he wrote the articles on the history of Greyhawk.
Right.
That was fantastic.
That'll be cool.
A lot of and there's some ancient old maps that people did and some other stories. So it's kind of interesting. And like we talk about time, it's possible to go back and run campaigns back in the days of Vecna and others too. So it's possible. So you can definitely do it. So,
Sure. Absolutely. You could. It's like going into the Second Age in Middle Earth. There's nothing stopping you, you know?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about all the different elves types. It's going to be a little campaign specific. I'm going to talk about specific.
Yeah, you have a lot of special rules and stuff for the different races, don't you?
Yeah, we do a little bit, but we'll talk about the difference between gray and high elves in our campaign. Half elves were like the race to play in the early '80s because of the multi classes.
Yeah.
We'll talk about like Zumba himself as a half elf fighter cleric mage. We'll talk about all those characters. We'll talk about some key ones in the campaign, and we'll discuss their deities. We'll bounce around a lot, but I want to do a delving series with the races, as not as filler, but as discussion points as I'm trying to get more guests in. So we're working on that, but I plan on doing a dwarven one as well, and then a gnome and halfling one together. So down the road, and talk about all the races specific to our campaign. I think it'll be a nice discussion. And then next week, finally, we start the week after next Thursday. We finally start the Trials of the Legion, which will be the big adventure with the high levels in Shieldlands that I've been running the ads on for 6 months in our 40th year. We're finally going to get into some super high level adventuring. We're not talking about high level adventuring in my campaign. We're talking 11th, 12th level in that. But the big thing I want to put up, Anna did this real nice. I'm going to blow this up big. Here's the Mega Stream ad information.
Oh, yes,
Frank.
That's coming up. Yep.
Frank from Nightheart Gaming is going to have a 45-second and a 2-minute ad for this. That will all the channels will be running. Meat Grinder, not Thunder. It's going to be a lot of political intrigue and backstabbing, which I really love, and a lot of that going on because there's so many different factions right now running around in the Shieldlands in my campaign, including the Foltis people, which we talked about, that shouldn't be there, and they don't get along with the Shieldlanders, but consider them a necessary evil. So, that's everyone's opinion about Pale and exactly
Pale lights and stuff. Yeah, put a heretic on the fire. Yep.
24 hours of gaming.
Yep.
all benefiting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I'm hoping to raise double what we did last year. We raised $1,000. We have, and I'm probably blocking it, but you can see back there those stratagem mats are going to be giveaways to top donators. We got a lot of stuff from our sponsor Stratagem on for this, and I'm looking forward to it. It's 5 channels. You can see them, and we'll give you more details as it gets closer. Titles Return of the Falcon from the Falcon modules. It's post 15 years past that in our campaign, so but it's post. So I'm gonna have a coughing fit. So guys, that was a good night. Thank you.
Good time.
Yeah.
One of those allergy ones is coming on.
Mhm.
All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do some end ads, but we're gonna raid into Will's game tonight because we should have done it last time. He's on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we'll raid into Wicked Studios.
Yep.
Cool, man. So Casey's gonna donate all his book sales for the Bandit Kingdom book that he has. Oh, thank you so very much for that follow, David. David, is it Michelle Duquesne or Michael Duquesne? I just want to pronounce it correctly. Thanks, guys. Thanks. We try to. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything with rating. It'll all change over. You'll see. I'll just do it. Hopefully, I'll do it correctly. I will handle it. It usually works, but you don't have to do a thing, guys. And then you just pop into Will's game. You can stay as long as you want. You give him a follow if you want, and if you just want to depart, that's fine. So let's see if this works, because half the time I mess this up too. But you know, so I will hit the exit screen in a second, but let me just pop this up and get this running.
Good times, everyone.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you to everyone who.
Yeah, it was a great one again. Thank you so very much, everyone. So, okay, I'm starting it, and it should say ready to raid shortly.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to hit the exit ad, guys. We'll see you soon. See you tomorrow night for our normal game tomorrow night.
Everyone.
Thank you, and we'll pop that up. Here we go.
Here we go.
Hopefully,
Yes.
yep. That's all changed. There we go. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let me turn my sound up here so I can hear what's going on. Oh, he's doing the space thing. I forgot.
Oh, okay.
I think. Nice one, guys.
Yeah, you see, that was a good one.
Yeah, definitely. That was awesome. I learned
lots
a
of
lot.
stuff.
I learned a whole hell of a lot of stuff. And why did that? There it goes. There it pops up a little bit. So I'm still going to run this to the end, and I'm going to turn it off. So, all right. Well, that's cool. We got. Yeah, I'm about to crash too, Mike. I know you're exhausted.
Well, actually, I kind of rallied on that.
But this
pretty tight. For me, no, it's the 3 glasses of tea I downed during the show. Gotta get it.
Oh, you did? See, my problem is I drink this Diet Pepsi and then I'm like screwed for the rest of the night because I can't sleep. You know?
Okay.
So
I've never had that problem. That I can always sleep. It's staying awake that's the problem for me.
He's got a cool map up here. I'm not sure. I know he's doing a one-shot of some sort, because or multiple week one, and then that's that on that. Let me turn.